Hey, thought about it a lot last night. Today's the day. Tell you what we're talking about coming up here in a moment. Welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. On the air, 877-867-1670. The logistics to get a hold of us. 877-867-1670. You can always track us down on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Highly recommend you subscribe to YouTube. It's absolutely free, so what the heck? No harm, no foul there. Find us on Twitch TV. You can email us, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Ben Kenny is also on Twitter at Ben Z. Kenny. Ben, so I was kind of listening towards the end of the morning show. No air conditioning?
No air conditioning, Bill. It is a complete disaster in the Kenny household.
Oh, my God. So, and it's not because, now for people that are just listening on the network, it's not because you refuse to turn it on, correct?
No, the building, and I can go find the email again, but I got an email yesterday around 1 o'clock that politely said, F you, all the residents, we have chosen to not turn the AC on until May 19th. Which is a preposterous statement.
Who does what landowner does that?
All of these scumbag Madison landlords.
Come on, man. That's ridiculous. When you're talking, what's the difference of 88 and humid today versus 88 and humid in 2 weeks? Other than just them saving money.
Well, the difference is I'll be able to sleep in 2 weeks when there's air conditioning.
Are you allowed to put a window unit in?
I believe so, but it was nothing I had thought of. And I'm moving out of this place in a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. So well, then to hell with it.
It didn't cross my mind, but suddenly it's 90 degrees and it's 87 in the apartment.
Yeah, I came home, because yesterday during the show, for those that were listening, I couldn't bring myself to turn the air conditioning on. And I thought no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait. It's going to cool down overnight. And it never did. I got home yesterday. I got home last evening. I left, the windows kind of open because we were expecting all that. Remember, the whole state was under a tornado watch. And there was these severe thunderstorms predicted. Nothing happened. I mean, nothing. And I get it. Meteorologically, it was this cap stayed on top of the area. The warm air didn't allow the cold air to mix, and therefore it didn't matriculate into the storms that everybody expected. But I expected the rain to come. So I didn't want to leave my house wide open. When I left, I went to up to Grafton yesterday, and there was a spring concert. Kristen's son had a spring concert yesterday, so I went to that. I got home last night. In my bedroom was 86 degrees, and it was humid. I mean, it was now the bottom portion of my house and the bar and such are all below ground, so they stay like a constant 69, 70. It's great, but upstairs got warm and real warm. So I finally last night about 9:30, there I am. I'm opening all the vents, in the house and dropping down the air conditioning, vents in the ceiling and such. And so I finally had to turn it on, and thank God that I did. I'm one of those people that need to sleep cold. So I set it at about 67 when I go to bed, and I set it at about 70 for the rest of the day. So, and it's I don't know if you can hear it in the background. This is the first time I'm really doing the show with the vents wide open, but you can hear it a little bit, I guess. But yeah, I had to finally turn the air conditioning on. I had to succumb because it was toasty and it was humid. We get some humidity. And I'm sure in Philly, did you get a lot of humidity as a kid?
During the summer, yeah.
Because we would get it in that Ohio River Valley, which was, I love it. I can deal with it. No big deal. The hotter, the better. The sweaty, it's the kind of humidity when you walk out of the air conditioning. If you have glasses on, your glasses just fog up, condensation immediately, that kind of humidity. And so I don't mind it. But when you try to sleep, humidity is an awful thing because you always feel wet and sticky and you never get cool. And even a fan on you doesn't really make that big of a difference. So anyway,
can confirm.
Yeah. So it was probably not the best of situations. Apparently, there was a small tornado in Colfax yesterday. Some tree damage to a golf course there in that area. So, glad that's all it did as far as damage goes. But as far as the mass outbreak of thunderstorms, because the whole state, for the most part, was under a severe thunderstorm watch, or a tornado watch, I should say. And it just never materialized. Never happened. So anyway, which is good. Glad we didn't get severe weather, but that's what everybody was kind of expecting. So today, the same thing. But today, speaking of hot, Bucks need to get hot. I've thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. This is a must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks. Would you agree? Ben, do you agree this is a must-win?
I mean, yes, but with the caveat that a game 5 in any basketball series, I would consider must-win. But for this team and where they're at now and what we saw in game 4, definitely.
If they're up 3-1, it's not. If they're down 3-1, it is. But sitting at 2-2, 70% of basketball teams in the NBA that sit with a 2-2 tie going into game 5, the winner goes on to win the series. This is a must win. It's a must win for 2 reasons. 1, you then take home court advantage back. 2, you have got to reestablish yourself. The rest of the world is picking against you. You have got to reestablish yourself. Since game 1, the Bucks have been outscored in the fourth quarter, 28 points. You're not going to win that way. Now, granted, I understand it's because they've had leads going into, and the Bucks have only, prior to the postseason, when leading after 3 quarters, the Bucks have lost 1 game when leading after 3 quarters, all season long, 1 game, until the other night. 1 time all season. So even that feeling of invincibility is gone. No lead is too big for a team that can shoot to 3 and get hot the way the 76ers can. And we talked about this coming into the series, that this team, when they're on, they can shoot with anybody. Shoot with anybody. Tonight is as big a must win as the Bucks have had for a while now. Going all the way back to last postseason, I guess, would be the best way to put it. Being down 0-2 in a series and coming back and getting a win. This is a huge must win tonight for the Bucks. Get home court advantage back, come back, try to slay this dragon at home and end it. Bucks lose tonight. You and I both said it yesterday. After watching that game on Monday night, we kind of had the gut feeling that this is going to be the 76ers year. If I had to put money on it, I would put money on the Sixers to win the series. My heart says, or the Celtics. Yes, I'm sorry. 76ers aren't winning the series. Yes.
No, they were killed last night.
The 76ers. As a matter of fact, the reason I think I thought of that is the 76ers. There's some highlights going on with the 76ers game last night right in front of me. Or low lights if you are looking at it from your perspective.
Quite low.
But tonight is as big a must win. You got to slay that dragon that is the Boston Celtics. We knew they could get hot and they could shoot. They're proving it now. And the Bucks positively, absolutely have to get the win tonight. I've just kind of come to that conclusion. So we'll see if they can actually do it. We'll talk about it a lot coming up today. We're going to get the Boston perspective at some point, and we'll talk a lot. Last night, you had the good and the bad of the Milwaukee Brewers too. And do the Brewers have a pitching question? And I know it's a crazy statement, but I don't think it's that far out of the realm of possibility. So we'll get into that. And then the announcement, because they're trickling it out for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is the official unveiling of everyone's schedule in the NFL. And game by game, it starts to trickle out. And then we find out today, lo and behold, Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys are coming into Lambeau Field. How about that? Mike McCarthy, the Dallas Cowboys, coming into Lambeau Field. Mike coming home, and we'll see what kind of a reception the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers give him. But, yeah, the Dallas Cowboys announced today that they are coming to Lambeau Field in conjunction with the Green Bay Packers. So all of that going on. But tonight, I think we're all hunkered down. While we all want to watch, baseball in the afternoon and such and watch the Brewers, hopefully the Brewers get the rubber game today as they lost the first game of this series, get back-to-back wins against Cincinnati and get the hell out of town. In Cincinnati, I give them credit. They just kept banging away yesterday. But the Brewers ultimately got the win. But the Bucks game tonight, I think, is the big key for everybody. It's must-see TV. Being as warm as it is, Being as warm as it is, I think tonight is an outside cigar, TV on kind of night. Tiki bar kind of night tonight. So we might even find ourselves in the midst of a live stream before it's all said and done. But that's neither here nor there. By the way, a complicated fella says, did you know Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning coach? He'll tell you that.
Let's just state the facts. I mean, I'm a highly successful NFL head coach.
There you go. Let's just state that fact. Highly successful. Winning percentage-wise, he is. You can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. There is, and I know people make fun of Mike, but there is something to be said about setting up an organization around what it is you do and having wins and success. Now, championship success has eluded him. But for the most part, when you talk about wins and losses and winning percentage, he is. When can you think of the last head coach that made himself, won a championship, continued to win, albeit fail when it came to championships, but continued to win and has had as much, fun poked at him, and he continues to win? Who else has the last guy I can remember getting this kind of grief would be Barry Switzer, but we all know Barry Switzer won with the complement of players that Jimmy Johnson put together. But the last coach that was a winner, that had a winning percentage that I can remember, that has had this kind of fun made of him, I can't remember. It completely escaped. Now, we've known a lot of coaches who stunk, who had fun made of them at their expense, but I cannot remember the last winning head coach that has had this kind of been a target where people just flat out make fun of the guy.
Does John Gruden apply?
Does John Gruden have a winning percentage? Is he on the winning side or is he on the losing side? Because we know John
12.
Well, John Gruden. Here's the thing: John Gruden's championship came with Tony Dungy's players, right? He took over because Tony Dungy didn't get it done in Tampa Bay. John Gruden took over the next year. They won a championship. It was basically Tony Dungy's team. And John Gruden ended up facing his old team. At that point in time, was it the Oakland Raiders, the LA Raiders? I can't remember where the hell they were at. But he faced the Raiders in the Super Bowl. And John Gruden, I wonder what John Gruden would have been in Las Vegas had he not had the emails exposed. I wonder what he would have ended up. So that's a good point. But John Gruden making more fun of him has come from his stint in the Monday night broadcast booth with Mike Tirico than it was necessarily as a head coach for bad decisions, bad play calling, bad, just clock management, bad everything. Whereas McCarthy gets ripped for offense, he gets ripped for defense, he gets ripped for clock management, he gets ripped for his looks, he gets ripped. All he's done is he's been a head coach. That's it. And he's had success. What is McCarthy's winning percentage? Do you have that in front of you, Ben?
No, pull it up.
Okay. Let me know what McCarthy's winning percentage is, because all the guy's done is win. He did not win a championship in Green Bay after the 2010. That
602.
602. That's pretty high for a guy that people continuously rip. Down the stretch towards the end, yeah, he it was time to go. And I don't necessarily like firing coaches because of the ineptitude of players. And he clearly had a clash with Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers kind of drove him out of town. So we understand that. And it was probably a year too long, and I admit that. But as far as being a bad, uninformed head coach, the guy wins.
He kind of gives me Andy Reid vibes, but the Super Bowls were won on the other side of their success with Reed getting his
Right.
recently and McCarthy getting his at the beginning.
Right. But this is one of those prove-it years for Mike, too. And I can't believe I'm saying that with a successful coach, but it is, because we know all the different things that are waiting in the wings. And we know, see, going back to owner versus Packers have this board. And as long as you're winning and you're making them money and things are trending in the right direction, you have a job. But when things look as if they're not trending in the right direction and you don't have the ability to get that team over the next hump, just via your own ability, that's when things become tenuous in Green Bay. Whereas in Dallas, whatever side of the bed Jerry wakes up on. If Jerry wakes up and says, no, we got to make a change. I'm hell-bent on making a change. We're making a change. Then that's it. One dude changes things. The emotions of an owner can change things. Whereas the Green Bay Packers kind of stay steady like a rock, steady like an iceberg, moving slowly and methodically. Jerry can just wake up one day and say, nope, that's not it. I'm going to go with somebody else. There's somebody else I like, somebody I ran into, somebody a fan told me about, whatever Jerry's emotions are that day, he can go. So I still think this is one of those years with Sean Payton sitting and waiting in the wings. And there's been a lot of talk about that. I think this is that year that Mike McCarthy specifically it's hard to believe, but he's on the hot seat. Got a lot to prove down in Dallas. Even with the loss of Amari Cooper. One of the better weapons for Dak Prescott. And also you want to see if Dak Prescott takes another step forward under the tutelage of Mike McCarthy. But let's be honest. Mike McCarthy, as a head coach, going through these, quote, quarterback camps, this quarterback school, the Mike McCarthy guru school, Aaron Rodgers turned out. Who else did? Who else turned out? Brian Brom, any of these guys that, Seneca Wallace, any of these guys they brought in? Any of these guys they drafted? No, they really didn't. They didn't turn out. He got Aaron Rodgers given to him, and then he inherited Dak Prescott. Can Dak Prescott now take the next step? So anyway, the Packers are going to be hosting the Cowboys. Let's do this. We're going to step away. Take a quick break. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Is this a must-win tonight for your Milwaukee Bucks? Stay tuned. Coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
They're racing and you don't want to miss it. June 9th through the 12th, it's the NTT IndyCar Series Saucio Grand Prix presented by AMR. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Missing a lot that I usually make. Still confident, still going to take the shots, and I mean, that's all I really can do. I'm not going to be passive or submissive, just be confident and try to look at it go through the rim.
Big one coming up for the Milwaukee Bucks. Drew Holiday there. And the Bucks mixed up in a must-win tonight against the Celtics. Got to get it. Got to get it. This is tied at 2 apiece. The winner of Game 5 in a series that is tied at 2 apiece, 70% of the time goes on to win the series. Must win in my book. Thinking a lot about it. Just last night, talking about it with a couple of friends this morning. Didn't get a workout in today. I got into one of those conversations. I gave a buddy of mine a call. We started just kind of shooting the stuff. And next thing you know, we turned with our sights on the Milwaukee Bucks, started talking about this contest tonight. And yeah, he kind of convinced me it's a must win. Must win. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. The Brewers get a win last night, knock off Cincinnati. Some pitching questions have arisen about Devin Williams and the ability to throw strikes consistently, not being able to get the fastball over. When he doesn't get the fastball over, gets behind in the count consistently, that big, hard breaking change that he throws becomes somewhat ineffective because he's got to come across the plate. And last night, consistently, he found himself in a jam. Last night, Devin Williams, 2/3 of an inning, a couple of hits, 3 runs, 3 walks. And in 2/3 of an inning, through 38 pitches, only 18 of them for strikes. Now, we have seen this out of Devin Williams so far this season, where there are a lot of times when he pitches rather well. But there are times where he has struggled. There's been a couple of times where he's gotten out of it. But the only reason I bring this up, you throw this up because the thought process is, should anything happen to Hader? And last night I was listening to the broadcast, and they had a lot of discussion about the back issues regarding Josh Hader and the fact that he hasn't thrown a whole lot. They've been trying to save him. Between him and Devin Williams, at the end of May last year, they were 2 of the most used relievers in Major League Baseball. This year, they've not been used nearly as much, specifically Hader. He's gotten, obviously, some use early on, and both of them early on this year. And then after that, it kind of calmed down. The Brewers were just beating up on teams in the double-digit facets, and therefore had big leads and didn't need to use Devin Williams, didn't need to use Josh Hader, and Hader had the back spasm, so it was good. So the question became, if Devin Williams does not throw strikes consistently, God forbid anything happened to Hader, Williams was supposed to become your de facto closer. But if he's not going to be able to throw strikes consistently and struggle, then what? Now, prior to, he's thrown quite a few clean innings. Nothing major to fret about. But this season has not been great. There have been times, you go back to that series in Baltimore, he threw 1/3 of an inning struggled again with his pitches. Had 28 of them. 28 pitches in a third of an inning. He just couldn't find it. Then you look at the St. Louis series. Again, 2/3 of an inning, 37 pitches. Gave up a couple of hits, 2 runs, had 3 walks, a couple of strikeouts. Between that and what we saw last night, hasn't been terrible. As a matter of fact, it's been damn good. But for the amount of pitches, he gets into that funk where he just cannot find the plate. And last night was another one of those examples. Now, you keep going to him. I'm not saying that all of a sudden it's problematic. You got to send him down or something like that. But that's just, it's one of those things where as I make notes through the season and I make mental notes, I'm constantly putting notes on my phone. One of those things last night where I said, third time Devin Williams has come in and not been able to find the plate, and I highlighted it on the date. So going all the way back to April 13th and then 17th, 3 times within a month's time, we have seen him struggle and just not be able to find the plate. For the most part, though, it's been pretty good. Can't say a whole lot about it. Also, Brandon Woodruff, he's had a couple of tough outings this year. So it happens. I get it. But it's one of those things where I say, okay, just keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on this. Mike says, come on, man. Brewers troubles, they're 20-11. You know what, Mike? You're the exact guy that told me to shut up last year at the end of August when I said they're starting to struggle. And people went crazy saying, how can you say that? Look at their record. Look where they're at. And then damned if they didn't get beat in the postseason. When you see a problem, you make a note of it. I never said the Brewers overall. That's not what I said. What I said is, in that pitching area with Devin Williams, at times, he can come in and really struggle. But it's only his third time really struggling to find a plate in numerous opportunities. So not overly concerned, but it's one of those things you make a note of. I will never again listen to the masses that tell me to shut up when I see it coming. Never. Last year, I said in the last 2 weeks of August, this team is not playing great baseball. They started to struggle. They weren't hitting. Things weren't good. Shut up. They got a lead. Are you stupid? Blah. And then here come the Cardinals. They started making the charge. We all know that. But I kept looking at the Brewers thinking, this team is not playing their peak right now. They peaked between right after the All-Star break, they peaked into the second to third week of August. And then things became a little bit tough for them. And they just didn't look right. And then sure enough, we saw in the postseason exactly what happened. Never going to do it again. If I'm wrong, I'd rather be wrong. But I'm not going to listen to the masses just to shut up just because you want to believe that everything's perfect when I can see something different. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free. Got you covered. Mark says Devin Williams should be fine. But I was wondering why last night Craig Counsell let him go so long. Well, here's the reason, because at the time you were up 5-1. That's the reason. You were up 5-1 at that time. So you let him go for a little bit. You let him try to dig back out of it. He just wasn't able to dig out of it. You watched him struggle, and all of a sudden bases are loaded. And then a couple of knocks later, and you're back into a tight game. This was Craig Counsell last night on the struggles of Devin Williams.
They had good at bats. I mean, you got to give them credit. They had good at bats. I mean, I don't think there's anything more than that. Obviously, he didn't make some pitches that he wanted, but they also had great at bats. So they gave him a tough inning.
He's right, but here's the thing: when you're not throwing strikes, it's easy to have good at bats because going up. Don't be ripping. Don't be ripping right now because even his fastball isn't finding the plate, not consistently. So don't go up and start. When you've got a pitcher struggling to throw strikes, you don't go up and start ripping. You look for that first pitch fastball, and if you get it and it's right down Wisconsin Avenue, then you go ahead and crush it. Otherwise, wait till he starts throwing consistent strikes. And if you're ahead in the count, he's not going to give you that devastating changeup that he's developed. He's not going to give you that. And that's the approach they took last night. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Hang in there. We got a lot more. The Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. It is back. Wednesday Night Live is back. We're only a couple of weeks away. We are exactly 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away from today. That Wednesday Night Live is back at the Wisconsin State Fair Park. Gates open up at 6. Free, by the way. Motorcycle parking free. Cars, I think it's like $5, but free admission. Come on out. It is music under the stars, and I cannot wait. It is the sense and the semblance of getting back to the sense of normalcy, of getting back to our summer, of enjoying the warmer weather. It is our sense of getting back at the Wisconsin State Fair Park coming up 2 weeks from tonight. Rebel Grace takes the stage. Cannot wait. Brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We'll be back.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Into a 2 away. Struck him out. Strikeout number 500 in the career of Josh Hader, and it's in a Brewers victory.
If it's possible that he's getting better, it feels like he's getting better, and that's what makes it so impressive. So he passes a milestone, and he passes a milestone in my mind getting better, and then that's what he seemingly continues to do is improve on greatness, if that makes sense even, but he continues to do that.
Josh Hader, 500 strikeouts. The last one being the save last night as the Brewers get the win 5-4 over the Cincinnati Reds, and the Brewers go on to victory. In the meantime, you've got the Brewers after last night's contest, by the way, when they get to that 20th win. That was a little bit elusive, the 20th win of the season. Cardinals lost last night. Cardinals have now lost 3 straight. And the Brewers put a little more space between themselves and the Redbirds. Now 3 games up in the division, 7 games ahead of Pittsburgh, 9 ahead of Chicago, and 13.5. Their season's over from the 6-win Cincinnati Reds. 13.5 games back the Reds are. Brewers back at it again today. And the Brewers, by the way, that is an 11:30 Central Time start today. So for many of you on this network, you may lose us. So what you want to do, if you want to continue to listen and talk some more Bucks basketball, Packers football, download the app, WOZN, the Zone out of Madison, the Zone Madison app. Download it, and you can continually listen to the program, or subscribe over on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Again, that's youtube.com. And all you have to do is find us that way. Simply go to Bill Michaels Show. That's Bill Michaels Show, and you can find us there and subscribe, and many of you have. We're creeping up on 2,300 subscribers that watch the show on a daily. So we not only do we appreciate it, but it's like I said, it's a great way to pay attention to the program. So thanks for joining us over there. Our buddy Steve says, "Good day, Bill. First of all, thoughts on the prayers for the family of Dauber Bob Lanier. Bob Lanier passing away. He was only I think 76 years old. That was it. That was a little disappointing. Really disappointing, as a matter of fact, to see that when I woke up this morning. He said I was fortunate enough to meet him and on a flight from LaGuardia, and say that he was a true gentleman is an understatement. It was just unfortunate that he wasn't able to win an NBA championship. Now for the Brewers, I was real high on Devin Williams early this year, and he's proving me wrong. I don't know if his struggles last night or among the amount of time that Craig Counsell left him in just frustrated me more. I'm glad they were able to stop the bleeding and pull out the win. Let's hope the crew can have a good getaway day and a happy trip to Miami later this afternoon. That's our buddy Steven Richfield. I don't know. Now, Ben, do you think Craig Counsell left him in too long? 2/3 of an inning. I don't think he left him in too long.
I don't know. It's tough because it was clear that the command was not really there yet. It also, here's the thing. If Arias doesn't make that play, the Reds probably take the lead in the game. So I think there is an argument that he did, although it didn't really matter at that time. I probably would have yanked him,
right?
But I don't know if I would have loved to have to put Hader in that spot.
Right.
Hader wasn't warming up at that point.
Yeah, Hader wasn't up at that point. I think Counsell, there are times, the only time Counsell does not really give an opportunity to a pitcher to pitch out of it is when you're creeping up on pitch counts or in a tight ball game where it's just clear that, there just isn't that ability to give. When you have a 5-4 lead, when they picked up those few runs in the eighth and you thought, okay, they've got that breathing space, so if Devin Williams comes in and gives up a couple of runs, not a big deal. The problem was loading the bases. And then obviously the subsequent knock after that. He really just wanted him to get out of the inning so you didn't have to burn up, Hader or anybody else for that matter. And he just wasn't able to do it. And then ultimately you had to go out and get him. But that being said, I don't have a problem with him leaving him in the way he did. And the reason why, and here's the reason why. Even though Perdomo had to come in, just get that third of an inning, just get that out, and that was it. Because at that point in time, it kind of felt like the Brewers' bats were heating up. And I think there's a level of confidence knowing that, you know what, if they tie this thing up, I'm not overly concerned. We can go ahead and get a couple of runs because it's a terrible their bullpen is awful. You have a lot of confidence after seeing what you did to them only a week ago at Great American Ballpark. The confidence is pretty high that you're going to win the game. And you started to hit the ball against them. You've put up 10 runs in 2 games against them. You feel like you can go ahead and score a couple more. So I don't think, by the way, Bob Lanier was 73, not 76, 73, which is really young still. But anyway, long story short, I didn't think that Counsell left him in too long. I really wanted to see, I know what he was doing, trying to give him confidence to get him just to throw some strikes. That was it. Just go throw some strikes. See if you can't get ahead in the count so you can make that changeup devastating. Otherwise, you can't throw that changeup because everything you were trying to do, you were trying to hunt and peck the corners, and you just didn't have control. You couldn't control the fastball. So I get what he was trying to do. Look, they won the game. I'm good with it. But it was one of those things, like I mentioned earlier, where I just kind of put in the back of my mind and said, I'm going to pay attention to Devin Williams. Josh Hader gets his 12th save of the year, and he throws 1 inning, gives up a walk, couple of strikeouts, and ultimately gets that 500th strikeout of his career. He continues to climb the board when it comes to saves in the organization as well, trying to get to Dan Plesac from years gone by. But Josh Hader, one of the best relievers ever, one of the best closers in Brewers history ever. He's right up there with the Axeman, John Axford. 877-867-1670. Brett says, by the way, I have a feeling that Bobby Portis is going to have a huge game. Same with Holiday. Giannis going to cool off Al Horford. Bud makes adjustments because that's the only time he does when our backs are against the corner. Got Bucks winning tonight. Go Bucks, fear the deer. Douglas says, yeah, the Brewers are in a little bit of a slump, but they're going to be okay. Bucks are in need of a big game from the players not named Giannis tonight. If traveling ever gets called against again in the NBA, Giannis is done. Right? Giannis, the Euro step and 2 steps after that. And yeah, there's no traveling in the NBA. We've named it something. You can't name it something and then call that it's illegal. Once it's named, it has to be allowed. It's now the Euro step. It's move your feet, take 2 big steps and dunk. Or move your feet, take 2 big steps and get a layup. Draw a foul. You can basically, from the top of the key to the hoop, not worry about traveling anymore. It just isn't called. It's not called. The most egregious thing we've ever seen was when LeBron James caught an inbound pass and literally ran like 6 or 7 steps before he started dribbling the basketball, and nothing was called. At that point is when I threw my hands in the air and said, they're not going to call it. When was the last time we saw a legitimate traveling called in the NBA? I can't remember. I can't tell you the last time traveling was called. Can't tell you the last time. I remember going through basketball camp as a kid, and Elder High School, Hans Fry, he was the head coach, and he was like God among men because he had won state championships in Ohio. And going through and catching the ball and going through the fundamentals of rotating on one foot, keeping a foot planted, not dragging it, keeping one foot planted, but being able to do a full 360 tap, 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 tap around, keeping that foot planted. Otherwise, dragging it, moving it, anything in that realm would have been called traveling.
Just being a non-athlete.
And then also, they used to have these gloves that you put on your hands, and they had these little knobs in the middle where your palm was. So you would never palm the basketball, and you always had to dribble straight up and down. So you didn't carry it. Like today, you dribble, you put your hand under it, catch it, and roll it over, dribble, catch it, roll it over. Just same thing. It's just, it's mind-numbing, I know, but the problem is everybody does it. So you can't, you can't say, well, it's not called against, it's only not called against your team. Nobody calls it anymore. Officials have given up. It just won't happen anymore. Scott says traveling has been called multiple times in the current series. If a guy is losing balance, if a guy is falling over, yes, but not when it comes to catching a ball, bringing it down, making a move, and then going over the hoop. That's what I'm talking about. When was it legitimately called? Other times when guys are falling out of bounds, guys are moving, guys are slurping around, yeah, I get that. But I'm talking about in an actual move. It just very rarely happens. Very rarely happens. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. I want to get back to this. Do you agree? Is tonight a must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks? Because if they lose this game tonight, you feel like the series is over. Like Boston's just going to walk away with it. I already feel like Boston is the better team through 3 games. After losing that first one, Boston has played better and has outscored the Bucks when it comes down to key moments. When it comes down to fourth quarter, Boston has outscored the Bucks by 28 points. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Program, Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. I want to remind you, our friends at Wisconsin, Harley Davidson is riding season. I'm going to get out today, as a matter of fact. Today is going to be a good day. I got a couple of meetings out during, in some areas with good rides today. So today I'm jumping on the motorcycle and going to the meetings. So cannot wait. Really looking forward. And it's the first riding portion of the year that you can ride without a heavy coat or anything like that. So I'm really looking forward to it this afternoon and then getting home and watching the Bucks game tonight. But if you are looking for a lot of different stuff, motorcycles, new and used, they continue to come in out of Wisconsin Harley Davidson. If you are looking for motor clothes, if you are looking for parts, accessories, great service, whatever it is, go out and see my buddy Craig Winger. He is the general manager. Go in and see Craig. Say, Craig, I either need a bike, I need service, take care of this. Craig's a good guy. He'll help you out. Okay? Very reasonable, too. Easy to eat, great to work with. Really sincerely great to work with. In addition to that, Wisconsin Harley Davidson, again this year, is the landing spot for our motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 4th. That is Sunday, September 4th. And if you want to be a part of it, you want to ride, or you know somebody who is a rider, we are getting into pre-registration. And pre-registration, we've already got quite a few that have pre-registered. I'm a little bit surprised. It's really early, but people are really emphatic and enthusiastic about this. They want to put their stamp on it. So if you want to find it, you can always go to facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Run. And right off to the left-hand side, there's a link there. You can go and get pre-registered. Or you can find everything. Sign up today for the amazing ride in September. Go to FisherHouseWI.org. That's FisherHouseWI.org. And it continues to get bigger and better. And we got some more stuff in the works. We got some really cool stuff in the works. So we're going to go to the Rock Complex this year where they're bringing in a band. We get to do some stuff in the new complex that they're building with Top Golf. They're going to have some other amenities there when we pull in. We got another one. We are heading to Alpine Valley this year. It's a unique ride. It's not traditionally going just bar to bar. So we're going then down to Alpine Valley and experiencing that. And then after that, hitting one of the more traditional, biker run type of bars that welcomes in motorcyclists. And then off to Wisconsin Harley, where we have music. We haven't announced the band yet. Ready to announce the band any day. But we'll get to the bands, and then we're going to have a flyover. We're going to award prizes. I mean, this is going to be really, really special. So anyway, please, though, follow us. Pass it along. Follow us. Facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Ride. Facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Ride. And you can follow all the events and all the doings and all the details going on right there as well. Good stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. This was from Zach. Zach said, Unit, you better bet your sweet ass this is a must win. Drew Holiday has to step up. Giannis is doing it all, and I get that Giannis has to shoot a better percentage. He's shooting now his lowest percentage since 2015. But for this team to win, Drew Holiday has to step up, and so does Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton. It cannot all be Brook Lopez. I look for Bobby Portis to have a big night. Bud needs to pull his head out of his rear end and get George Hill off the floor after playing so many minutes in Game 4 and get him back to putting Bobby Portis out there and being a enforcer. There you go. That's from Zach. Zach, appreciate the email. Good stuff. I think Bobby Portis will get some more minutes. You can't do the same thing. You can't. You can't do the same thing tonight coming up. You just can't do it. I look for this team to do things differently. I wanted to say I look for this team to get a win, but I can't say that. Ben, if you're putting money down tonight, who's winning?
Boston. Honestly.
Give me a point spread. No point spread?
Sorry, I had a little disconnect.
There you go.
I don't know. I think Boston by 3 or 4. Definitely close.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to go. I think the point spread's 4.5, isn't it?
5.5 is what
5.5? Okay, 5.5. Boston by 6 tonight. If I have to make a choice, I don't want to. Boston by 6. That's where I'm going to go right now. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Again, 877-867-1670. Going to talk some Packers when we come back. Mark Schofield going to be joining us. We're going to talk Packers. We're going to talk a little bit about this Packers team, how they're putting it all together. How good are they? And does anybody else have the same gut feeling that I do, that they're going to find themselves another veteran before it's training camp time? Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Welcome one, welcome all. Bill Michaels Show. Back on the air. Packers make the announcement that they are indeed going to be hosting Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. And which, to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to. Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys are coming into Lambeau Field. And, we know that, Mike is going to be all amped up for that one. Packers are going to be amped up for more so Packers fans than anything, but it'll be the reunion of Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. In the meantime, does Aaron Rodgers have enough weaponry around him? Mark Schofield, the NFL Wire, joining us over on the hotline. Mark, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, Bill. Great to be back with you. Excited to chat a little draft. I know it's been a while.
Yeah, it's so. Give me first of all. Let's get your impressions of just what you thought of the Green Bay Packers side of the draft.
I actually really liked it. I know going into the draft, I know a couple of times when I was on with you, certainly after the Devontae Adams trade and then Green Bay having those 2 picks in the first round, there were many expectations that they would draft a wide receiver with one of those 2 selections. And I think the way they went about it, going defense with those first 2 picks and then address a receiver at the top of the second round, I think it speaks to the talent on the defensive side of the ball and the depth of the wide receiver position, because wide receiver did look like one of the deeper position groups in this draft class. And rather than, say, reaching a little bit earlier on one of those guys, they were able to add 2 very talented defenders from that Georgia defense in Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. 2 guys I think are great fits for what they want to do defensively. And then at the top of the second round, get Christian Watson, who I think very talented wide receiver. There's a lot of potential there. Certainly needs a little bit of growth and development, but I think he can be a very nice offensive weapon out of the gate. He can certainly help in the return game as well. So I really like the fit for Washington with the Green Bay Packers. And then when you sort of get later down into the draft, you look at the offensive lineman from UCLA, Sean Ryan. A lot of people thought that, look, he might sort of sneak into, second round, maybe into the first round perhaps. There were a lot of people that when they watched Carson Strong, the Nevada quarterback who ended up undrafted, they came away really impressed with Romeo Doubs. And then the pass rusher from South Carolina, Kingsley Mare, he got some first-round buzz going, out of the sort of football season and into the start of the draft season. So to get him where they did, I think was great value. So in the end, I think this was a very good draft for the Packers. I like a lot of the players that they added. I like the way they went about it. They didn't force that receiver pick. Instead of getting great value in those 2 Georgia defenders. And I think it was really just a good draft cycle for the Packers.
When the Packers bolstered their defense, I think we all thought, okay, now they've got the depth not only for defense, but for special teams, which we all know was a bugaboo last year for them. Do you feel that this team has gotten better in that depth department?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of these selections, particularly Watson too, it's a nod to that, bugaboo on special teams. We saw that sort of rear its head in the playoffs with that loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Special teams was an issue for the Packers all last year. And I think you look at the athleticism of Quay Walker, you look at the athleticism of Watson, Doubs and some of these other guys, they could certainly contribute on special teams and help to improve that area because it was a flaw for the Packers last year. And I think that, the draft picks that they made and the athleticism that they added is a nod to that. And so, even if Quay Walker is not a starter or a, down to down every down linebacker in week 1, he's somebody you're going to see on special teams. And I think that goes for Watson and some of the other players that they added. And so I think depth was also an issue they needed to address along with special teams. And they accomplished that with this draft class.
The Packers, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers, need weaponry. Do you feel? I feel that this team is going to make another move before it's all said and done. I think they're going to go out and find one of these guys like a Jarvis Landry. Somebody's going to say, you know what? I'll take a little bit less money to go get a legitimate shot at 1, winning a championship, 2, at having this quality quarterback throw me the football, which in essence would then up my value because my statistics would naturally go up. Do you think the Packers are going to make a move, one more move before it's all said and done?
I think absolutely, and what we're seeing right now as the sort of free agency market is kind of, petered out a little bit. Now we're going to get into the time of year where players either, wait to see if there are injuries that happen during camps. Players wait to see if, there's other movement that's happening. And you're going to see the veterans sort of become more attractive to teams. And conversely, teams become more attractive to veterans. When you mentioned Jarvis Landry, Julio Jones is another veteran that's still out there. I haven't seen any news on the Odell Beckham Jr. front, another player that's still out there. T.Y. Hilton, for example, another receiver that's still out there. There are still receiving options that are available right now. And like you said, when it gets to be, late July, early August, when training camps start to really be on the horizon, these players that haven't had that sort of type of success in the playoffs or haven't had the chance to play in a Super Bowl are going to look around the landscape and realize that, the Green Bay Packers are a favorable destination because, one, you have Aaron Rodgers, which we have seen over the course of the NFL, particularly the past, 10, 15 years. The opportunity to play with an elite talent at the quarterback position is a draw, not just for receivers, but free agents overall, because it gives you that chance to play into the playoffs. The sort of
go ahead.
Landscapes, right?
Yeah.
You look at the NFC. If you're a player that's sort of going after a ring, do you want to go to the AFC, which looks to be loaded, or do you want to go to the NFC, where it's like, the Bucks could be good, the Rams could be good, the Packers could be good. That's a lot of question marks. If you're a veteran that wants to win that ring, your odds of going to one of these NFC teams probably a little bit better than going to the AFC, where you've got maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that look like they could make a run out of that conference.
So the whole thing to me, and I thought one of the things that the Packers did address was the fact that their offensive line was looking, at least appearance-wise. I know that you still have Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari, and you go through that whole list, but no Elton Jenkins coming back from the knee injury just yet. David Bakhtiari didn't play a snap last year, really. I mean, he just didn't look right and wasn't good for the season because of that knee, and they didn't sound overly confident that, he's 100%, he's ready to go. So do you think they did the right thing in picking up some additional offensive line depth? How do you think they did there?
I think they did a really good job with it. I mentioned the UCLA kid, Sean Ryan. Zach Tom was another player, the tackle from Wake Forest that, when you got into that sort of day 2 or the day 3 range, a lot of people were excited about where he might come off the board. And there were some people that thought even higher of him, thought that he could probably get into, maybe even late second round, early third. So to get him where they did at 140 overall, I thought was a very good pick. And then I'm not going to sleep on Rasheed Walker, the Penn State tackle, where they got 249 overall. You see some of the plays that he made, some of the ways he moves on the field, the athleticism, the footwork. He checked a lot of boxes when I studied him in terms of what you want to see from an NFL tackle. And so, we know in this day and age, right, you have to throw the football, but you need good offensive line to do that. You need depth to do that when players go down. You just went through sort of some of the issues that the Packers had from an injury standpoint along the offensive line. And I thought the players they added throughout the draft process to address some of these needs were very good additions.
I like what the Packers have done overall. I think the only Achilles heel right now that everybody seems to want to talk about is the weaponry. Now, here's my question. How much better can Aaron Rodgers make? Let's say they don't do anything. How much better can Aaron Rodgers make the weapons that he has? They still have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. They still have the returning Robert Tonyan and Dominic Daphne and Mercedes Lewis, and they still have the returning wide receiving core. Is this a Super Bowl caliber team now, or do you think they are only a piece or two away?
I mean, whenever you have 12, whenever you have guys like Brady and Rodgers and an elite quarterback, you put yourself into that mix to begin with, because those are the players that, because of their experience, because of the way they can throw the football, because of, not just the velocity, but the placement, the ability to throw against leverage that Aaron Rodgers has at his disposal, he's going to make the players around him better. It's sort of that, if you think about the exercise that people go through every offseason of tiering quarterbacks, that elite tier are those guys that are the proverbial quarterbacks that make everybody around them better. And Rodgers is still, at this point in his career, firmly in that tier. Now, that being said, you could always have more weapons. You could always have more pass catchers, because just like with the offensive line depth, receiving depth is also an issue. You get a couple of guys dinged up, and then suddenly, you're looking at a receiving core that, instead of, say, Watson and Lazard and Cobb and Watkins, now you're looking at, Romeo Doubs and Amari Rodgers sort of being your 1-2 in a worst-case scenario. So I still think another piece would be beneficial for this team. As constructed right now, if everybody's healthy, yes, this is a team that can come out of the NFC. But things happen in the football season. Over the 17-game schedule, guys are going to get banged up. So adding another piece will certainly help.
I like what the Packers have done. I feel good about it. I think this year is really going to become incumbent upon, to me anyway, Matt LaFleur, Aaron Rodgers, figuring out ways to get guys open. Also, wouldn't you assume there's going to be a lot of, say, play action movement? I'm not going to say it's necessarily the ride and decide offense because that's not what Aaron Rodgers does, but putting guys in motion and making this thing work and being on spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Bill, that's a part of sort of any effective offense, regardless of how good your quarterback is. It's, everything you can do as an offensive coordinator or play designer, play caller, to give that quarterback information before the snap is always going to be beneficial. I mean, I talk a lot about that decision-making window for a quarterback. And while in most cases it's really snap to throw, if you can expand that decision-making window, giving that quarterback information pre-snap, whether it's movement, motion, shift, and even personnel, to let that quarterback know, okay, I'm not 100% positive it's this coverage, but because of the shift and the movement of the personnel, I can be pretty sure. And so if it does play out that way, I know exactly where to go to with the football. Whether you're a first-year player, a second-year player, or guys in their 15th, 20th, 21st season, that will help you the more you can expand that decision-making window. And so I would imagine that Coach LaFleur is going to find some ways to sort of expand that, particularly as we're seeing on the defensive side of the ball. Defenses have gotten so much better, Bill, at trying to disguise what they're doing. The typical, pre-snap cue is, you send somebody in motion, a receiver trails them, it's going to be man coverage. But defenses have found ways to adjust zone coverages on the fly. So you see that as a quarterback, you see that motion man being trailed, and you think, it's man coverage, but they drop in the zone. And now you've got to recalibrate your mind and your way of thinking. And so the more ways you can respond to what defenses are doing pre-snap with personnel and movement and shifts and things like that, the bigger that decision-making window will be for the quarterback, and the better the quarterback's eventual execution will be.
Talking with Mark Schofield, NFL Wire. Get him at Mark Schofield over on Twitter. So the rest of, let's start with the division first. You got the Vikings. How much better do the Vikings get? And now, granted, they've got a coaching change. So do the Bears. The Lions are trying to bolster themselves, not necessarily for this year, but for years down the road. So tell me right now about the Vikings, who seem to be the second best team in the division.
Yeah, and look, they certainly had a need that they identified going into this draft cycle that they had to get better in the secondary. And I do like not just Lewis seeing the safety they drafted at the end of the first round when they traded sort of out of their pick inside the top 15. A lot of people said, look, they were going to stay pat at 12 and draft the best cornerback available. They said, no, we'll trade out. They slide back to 32. And then they get Andrew Booth, the Clemson corner, at 42. And I thought, that was a very good pick because I thought Booth was somebody who was going to come off the board inside the top 15 or so. Now, I know injuries might have played a role there. And that probably is why he slid out to 42 overall, but I do think that was a very nice pick for them. I'm a fan of Brian Asamoah, the linebacker from Oklahoma. He's a bit more undersized. In years past, he'd probably be more of a safety in the NFL, but as we've gotten, smaller on the defensive side of the ball and even on the defensive front, we've seen linebackers come into the league that are built more like safeties, but he's got that sideline to sideline ability. And, it's a lot of different stuff in the Big 12 that it's working its way into the NFL. And so I think he was a very nice pick as well. And so I like some of the pieces that they added. I mean, with Minnesota, really, as we all know, it's going to come down to, do they have enough offensively? Can they generate explosive plays on the offensive side of the ball? Are we going to see, the best of Kirk Cousins, or are there going to be issues there? What do we see from the receivers as well? And so, they have some issues that they'll have to figure out on the offensive side of the ball. They might even have to slide Ed Ingram, who they drafted in the second round from LSU, into, their starting right guard spot. We'll see how that plays out in camp. But, they added some pieces. They addressed needs on the defensive side of the ball. So I think it was a solid draft. But certainly, like you said, when you look around the rest of the division, you look at the Packers, and they certainly look right now to be the team to beat in the NFC North.
I was going to ask you as well, I agree with the Packers, but, the Bears have brought in new coaching. They've tried to bolster the offensive line. They without Allen Robinson, they're trying to do something with Justin Fields. They bring in Luke Getsy from Green Bay to kind of be his tutor, so to speak, for the offensive side of the football. How far away are the Bears from being relevant? Because that defense, it was really in its heyday a few years back, and it seems to be just deteriorating before our very eyes.
It does seem like, Bill, that Chicago's not just in a rebuild. It's like a tear down and rebuild. Like they've torn this thing down to the studs, and they're working their way back from that. And a lot of the conversation right now with respect to what they've done this offseason is certainly focused on the offensive side of the ball and the weapons. And do they have enough around Justin Fields to get him where he needs to be? And, Velus Jones Jr., the receiver they drafted in the third round, he's a nice little prospect, but on the older side, I think he just turned 25. You've got some guys that have been in the league. I think Justin Jefferson's been in the league now for 3 years, and he's not even close to 25 yet. So, that's going to be something to watch. Darnell Mooney is a nice receiver. We know Equimania St. Brown, but, there are some questions around the receiver position with respect to what the Bears have done this offseason. As you mentioned, the offensive line was a big question mark, and I'm surprised that, they addressed it with a fifth-round pick, Braxton Jones, but I would have thought they would have addressed that a little bit earlier in the draft. And then you look at the defense. Obviously, they traded away Khalil Mack. They added two nice players, Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon. Brisker, the safety from Penn State, Gordon, the corner from Washington, who I think are very nice players. And still have Roquan Smith, who's a very nice linebacker. But this does look like a team that's 2 years away, maybe. I mean, maybe we're seeing it wrong. Maybe Ryan Poles has identified the right players for what they want to do, and they're going to be in a much better position than we expect. But sitting here right now at the start of May, Bill, I'm rather skeptical about what they've done so far.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Mark, it's always a pleasure, man. I appreciate all the insight and information. Hey, real quick, best team right now in the NFC. Give it to me.
I mean, I'm always of the mind that, when you're the champs, you get the right to stay atop the mantle for now. So we'll say the Rams, but I do think, look, sitting there right now, the Rams, the Packers, the Bucs, those are the three teams that I'm most confident in the NFC. We give the nod to the Rams because they got the belt right now, but when the games kick off in September, we'll really get a chance to see it.
Good stuff. Mark, appreciate it as always, pal. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Sounds great, Bill. Thanks so much.
There you go, Mark Schofield. NFL Wire. You can find him over at Mark Schofield over on Twitter, at Mark Schofield over on Twitter. He has a lot of good things to say about the Green Bay Packers and thinking about their draft. Big time. So good stuff. Like that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Really like some of the picks that they made, especially a guy like Sean Ryan, also Zach Tom, adding depth to the offensive line. Really likes Quay Walker and what the Packers added right there. So seems like the Packers picked up good guys. You just hope that they continue to solidify that team. And in addition to that, the guys that are backing them up and become solid players when it comes to the special teams, because God knows they need it. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Sunset Grill. If you're going out tonight, stop by, watch the sunset on Pewaukee Lake, sit out on the patio area, and sit back, relax, and enjoy. Watch that Bucs game. They have TVs all over the place. I've always said, go in and ask Trish, who runs the place. Say, Trish, do you still have the leather pants? Do you still have them? Leather pants, yes or no? But they got really good food, really good beverages, and it's that beachy kind of lake cottage season. So stop over to Sunset Grill over on Pewaukee Lake and tell them we said hi. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Tonight. So our buddy ESPN Steve says, Ben, that there has been another hand gluing to the counter at Starbucks. Did you see that?
Oh, God. No, but I just looked it up. And have you seen the TV show Succession?
I have not.
It is a very prominent actor from that show.
That has glued his hands to the counter at Starbucks?
To a Midtown Manhattan Starbucks, incensed by the, quote, senseless upcharge for non-dairy milk.
Shut up. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'll send you the article. The Washington Post tweeted it around 12 hours ago.
Oh, my God. That's James Cromwell? James Cromwell has glued himself, actor, longtime animal rights activist, James Cromwell, super glued his hand to a Starbucks counter in New York City. This happened yesterday, I guess. And he protested the coffee chain's extra charges for vegan milk. Well, here's the thing. If it costs more, it costs more. Right? I only would assume that if it cost a lot less than regular dairy milk and or creamer, it would be less than regular dairy milk or creamer. The same way with soy. You know, I don't know what non-vegan milk is, unless they're getting it out of almonds. And I don't even know how they make almond milk because I don't get it. But what?
I don't know. I have no clue.
Police officers eventually arrived and then shut down the store. While most of the protesters dispersed, video showed Cromwell and another man inside the store a little bit longer as they tried to unstick themselves from the counter.
So if we're talking about the different prices of milk,
correct.
Why would people then go to Starbucks in general?
Well, that's my next question. Priced. Well, if you don't want to pay it, don't go.
Starbucks coffee in New York City is like $7, $6, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I know every now and then, because I'm not a coffee drinker. So during Christmas time, I'll go and get like a hot chocolate at Starbucks because my tradition was go cut down a Christmas tree. You get the Starbucks hot chocolate. I'd take me and the dogs and I'd go get it. And I still do that. I do it without the dogs now, obviously, but I still go and get the Christmas tree and I get the hot chocolate. That's really the only time I go to Starbucks. Now, Kristen every now and then will do it. And she has switched over to soy milk and all that stuff because she just is really trying to be anyway, very, calorie conscious. So, but you know what it is? It's like $5 for a venti iced latte with soy milk and something else and sugar and blah, 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 whatever the hell kind of thing, flapple appuccino and, whatever. But it's like $5. And what's funny is then we'll be in a store and she'll go, I'm not paying $3 for that. I'm like, you just bought a drink for $5. Short of going to the ballpark, I would never spend that. What are you doing? It's all in priorities, I guess. But, and I don't put down people that go to Starbucks. Go do it if that's what you want to do. And I don't begrudge you. But if you don't like them upcharging for vegan milk, then don't go. You don't go in and ruin the business for the day by gluing your dumbass hand to the counter. Crazy ass clown. But he was making a statement. What else are people going to glue themselves to? So here's my next question. What do you do after that? Then what? You glued yourself to a counter. I've always said I just keep my business open. I'd make sure that wherever you glued yourself, I would just step around you. I would have things prepared. I'd have my staff, bring my staff together. Come here, guys. Come here, girls. Let's go. Come on. Okay, if this ass clown comes through the door and glues himself to the counter here, we're going to make everything mobile. We're going to leave him there, and we're just going to step over, and we're going to go around him. As long as he doesn't cause a major disturbance, we can just have him arrested, but we're not going to close down. So we're just going to move our business to here. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, great. Ready, break. And then here comes the ass clown through the door. Rah, rah, I don't want an upcharge for milk. Okay, very much noted. Talk to you later. Thank you very much. Next. And I just keep working around him. Just keep working around him until people finally got so pissed off that it's like you're stuck now. You've glued yourself to the counter. If people want to wail on you, they'll just wail on you. You come in, you do this, you just take a beat down. That's the way it is. You get beat up because of you're annoying the hell out of everybody else. So be it. So be it. And then that nonsense stops. You could always, draw attention if you walked with a protest sign outside of Starbucks. But instead, you go in and actually glue yourself to the counter. The only thing that's going to prevent me from doing is actually seeing whatever muffin it is I want to grab that day. There you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Sometimes you just gotta, I had a friend of mine and he was African-American and we were at a bar, and I've told this story 1,000 times. He was at a bar up in Columbus at the time. And he had some racial stuff dropped on him, and I'm all fired up. I'm ready to drop down for this guy. Here we go. We're going to go whoop these guys' ass. And he looked at me and he said, don't worry about it. He said, it only hurts if I let it hurt. And I said, yeah, but. And he's like, no. That's for me. That's not you. That's for me. And I got it. I understood it. So if you don't let it bother you, it doesn't bother you. They have nothing to do. The protest doesn't matter. So I just say, move on. Next. What would you like? Oh, venti, coffee. Okay, great. Want any sugars with that? Okay. How about that creamer? Want any creamer with that? Want some of that dairy product? Non-vegan? You'll pay the upcharge? Great. Okay, there you go. I love it. Let's do this. We're going to step away and get out of this particular segment of the program. Coming up, we're going to talk a lot of Bucks today. Bucks in 5 tonight in Beantown, hoping to take an advantage over the Boston Celtics before they come back to the Fiserv Forum. Cross your fingers. They get a good one tonight. They need a big one tonight. We're going to talk about difference makers this evening. We're also going to talk about I still have yet to get a lot of commentary on, do you feel this is a must win? If you don't, tell me why. Tell me why. If you do, and you're right there with me, tell me why. Is this a must win game tonight for your Milwaukee Bucks? 877-867-1670. Hit us up over on the Bud Light live stream. Find me over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. Email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Plenty of ways to stay in touch. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Quick Trip. And right now, if you go in and use your Quick Rewards card and use your get yourself a Pepsi product, get yourself some Jack Links, whatever it happens to be, you can get yourself registered to win a brand new Camaro SS. That is part of the Quick Trip 250, which is going to be taking place, the NASCAR event up at Road America this year. Cannot wait for that. But you could possibly win a car. Plus, they're giving away weekly prizes. Go into Quick Trip. Just see everything they have to offer, like I did yesterday. Stop in and get registered. It doesn't cost you anything to get registered. Just stop in and get registered. Good stuff from our friends over there at Quick Trip. If you want to give us a shout again, 877-867-1670. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Summer in Wisconsin means one thing, racing. And there's no better place to be than Road America in beautiful Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. From the screams of the Indy cars to the thunder of NASCAR, they will all be flying around the scenic road course that is Road America. Gather up your family, your friends, bring your clients, your coworkers. There's nothing like the experience of feeling the roar of racing up close. For tickets and the entire event calendar, go to roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
So the 8th time now that the Milwaukee Bucks have played against the Boston Celtics, I don't think there's going to be too many ripples that we haven't seen. So yeah, it's going to come down to who wants it, who's going to sacrifice their body more, who's going to play together more, longer, and who's going to take care of business when it's time to.
Who wants it more? Who wants to, sacrifice their body more? For fans to say that, that's one thing, because it's very hard to measure the amount of heart in a player. It's hard to say that guy doesn't want it. There are times you can look and say that guy could have dove when this guy did and the other guy didn't. And you can get into that. But I never try to calculate the heart of a player. Sometimes you can look at it and go, that guy's not as into it as some of the other guys are. But Wesley Matthews says, look, it's going to come down to who from inside that locker room. He's now saying it. So, yeah, he's right there. In the meantime, he says nobody thought when it comes to the Boston Celtics, and I pointed to this series as the biggest one anyway from the very beginning, because I thought the Celtics down the stretch, when the Bucks were kind of taking it easy, load management, resting players, didn't matter if they got the 2 or if they got the 3, and because you didn't want Brooklyn. Meanwhile, you got the Boston Celtics going, bring it. We're going to get better. We're going to win down the stretch. We're going to continue to win. We're going to take that 2 spot. We who cares if we have to play them both? We don't care. We want it. Bring it. And they've been playing better. And sure enough, they ended up just completely disposing of the Brooklyn Nets, and they're on the verge of doing so to the Milwaukee Bucks if the Bucks don't wake up and get a win tonight and bring home court advantage back to the Fiserv Forum. So that being said, Wesley Matthews says nobody thought this was going to be an easy series.
If it was easy to make the playoffs, every team would be in the playoffs. If it was easy to get to the semis, every team would get to the semis. It's hard. It's hard as hell. It's a lot of work involved, a lot of multiple efforts, sacrificing your body, keeping your mind clear, keeping your mind free, knowing that every possession means a lot, but at the same time, you can't hold your head too high, can't hold your head low at all, and you got to bounce back.
Got to bounce back big time. That's what it's all about. When you fight, when you see adversity, you got to be able to overcome. And the Bucks did that last year. They went on to win a championship. This year, they're facing it without Chris Middleton. They've got to bounce back. They've got to have guys contribute, and they've got to pull this one out. Wesley Matthews also says they always knew that this was going to be a fight with the Celtics.
It's going to be a hard-fought game. It's going to be a hard-fought series. We knew that going into the series. We knew that when we took game 1. We knew that when we went up 2-1. It's going to be a battle. We expect that, and we just got to be better. We won every quarter but one, and that was the most important one. So take the good with it, learn from the bad, and move on.
I wouldn't say they've won every quarter but one. They've been outscored in the fourth quarter by 28. The fourth quarter has been the determining factor, but they've lost quarters along the way. But when you talk about the totality of winning quarters, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, they've been losing the fourth quarter consistently. And in close games, you can't do that. Especially, it's kind of indicative of how this team has shot down the stretch. They have not found open looks. They have not spaced the floor. They have not passed the ball well, and they have not hit the open looks. They need to do that. Matthews agrees. They got the work cut out for them.
We just got to do the work. This is a tough team. This is a great team. They play hard. You're gonna have to put them away. And so now we got our work cut out for us going into game 5.
So there you go. Wesley Matthews talking about the upcoming contest tonight. Bucks and Celtics this evening in Boston. And again, the statistic is 70% of the teams that had tied at 2 games apiece that win game 5 go on to win the series, which is why this is so vital tonight. Brett says, I say yes. This is a must win for plenty of reasons. 1, gain confidence and a chance to close it out at Fiserv. 2, only have to win 1 out of the next 2 games. 3, stats-wise, 83% go on to win the series after winning game 5. Personal, 5 personal. Just think we win game 5. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks will then close it out in game 6. Won't allow Boston to win again at the Fiserv Forum. Go Bucks, fear the deer, Bucks and 6. There you have it. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Again, 877-867-1670. And let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll come back, get some more thoughts. Got some emails coming in. Hit me up over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Hit us up there. Also, you can find us via email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Got some emails to get to, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Hang in there. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. We're back in Judge Gina's court where debate's heating up.
Order.
Sorry, Gina.
That's Judge Gina, and this case is dismissed.
Dismissed?
Come on, guys. Wisconsin's home team. Everyone knows it's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
You got us there, Judge Gina. Can't argue with that.
Others sell only 1 or 2 lines of windows, and both are vinyl. Pella lets you choose from an unbeaten 6 window lines, 2 lines of budget-friendly vinyl windows, 3 lines of luxurious wood, traditional to contemporary, and Impervia, Pella's exclusive never rot fiberglass, engineered to be the strongest window material anywhere, period. period. Then there's financing to fit any budget. And now up to $2,500 off an installed patio door, up to $3,000 off an installed entry door. What's left to argue?
Hella now? Pay later. Hella now. Pay
Court's adjourned. With the price of materials rising across the country, don't let your huge savings slip away. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. Hey, Wisconsin, we're not snobby by any stretch of the imagination. Snooty, no pretentiousness. It's Midwestern charm. That's it. That's what we got for you. I've been talking now about a new sponsor called Forgotten Fire Winery. They are in Peshtigo, and they are all about just fun in a bottle. That's their claim. With or without attitude. Come on, bring it. You can find their full lineup of wines and ciders in their tasting room. They got a cool tasting room. I'm going to get up there and kind of check it all out firsthand. And I can't wait to do that. Hopefully here in the next, 3-4 weeks, something like that. Got to get up that way. And then stop over and see our people over at Four Seasons Island Resort. Probably stay up there and ride a motorcycle around a little bit. But you can find all of it in their tasting room, or look for it. Ask for it. Say, hey, by the way, do you got Forgotten Fire Winery at your local liquor store, grocery store, wine store? Winery's a great place to just get away, big time. Go up there for the tasting. Yes, yes. You can sound snooty, even though we know we're not, because it's just faking it. But they have some live music up there. They've got private events all year long. So if you're thinking about maybe doing something at a winery as an event, whether it's a wedding, a shower, a bachelorette party, bachelor party, take some clients for a different type of event. Anytime's a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. It's a Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people. And it just continues to spread and do great things. That's our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. Again, go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. That is ForgottenFireWinery.com. There you go. Hey, Ben, your 76ers, what the hell happened last night?
Ooh,
they got there.
That's a great question.
We were talking yesterday about whether or not James Harden would show up. We've seen a glimpse now. Maybe he's going to be here. He looked like blank last night. I can't even say the word or we're off the air. He was terrible.
So it was him. It was Embiid. It was the entire team. They just didn't have life. I think lethargic and uninspired are fair words to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Miami Heat are not a star. Jimmy Butler is a star. But aside from that, they do not have star power, but they outwork them in every facet.
Yep.
Every time a ball clanked off the backboard or the basket, I had zero confidence the Sixers would get the rebound. None. Even on the defensive side.
I watched that game and Embiid was hurting. Even after, even before he took the basketball to the face that ended up sending him down because he's wearing that, Phantom of the Opera mask because of the crushed orbital bone around his eye that he ended up sustaining a couple of games ago. So it was painful watching him take that shot to the face and then go down and take the mask off and such. But even before that, he's playing with some pain. He knows, you got to be out there. They don't stand a chance without him. But he looked lethargic. He's got an excuse. Dude's playing with a broken face. What the hell happened to James Harden? They were killing James Harden on the Four Letter Network today. Killing him. Uninspired, lethargic, pathetic, cashed it in, doesn't get along with Doc Rivers. He wanted his way out of Houston, so he got fat, just wasn't playing well, ended up going to Brooklyn, thought he was going to be all that there, didn't play well with others, ended up getting traded out over to the 76ers, where everything is set up for him to be successful. He can go in and be the co-man with Embiid, outside, inside, got a very player-friendly guy in Doc Rivers, everything he's ever wanted, and he's still an ass. I've always said you're never going to win with that guy, and now we're kind of seeing it. But, man, for a big game like that, what a pathetic performance.
Yeah, I think the criticisms are fair. I mean, a lot of times role players follow the lead of the stars. If the stars don't have any energy, like Tyrese Maxey last night, he's a second-year player. He's young. He was jogging back on defense. You could see it kind of bottled down to what the role players were doing. One analysis I heard that I don't agree with, though, Charles Barkley said last night that he thinks Embiid wasn't playing well because he was shook for not winning the MVP, that it's weighing on him so much that he can't go out and play well.
That's
I think
correct.
that is an unfair take on it. I mean, this guy's playing through torn ligaments in his shooting hand, a broken face, and all that stuff. He didn't bring the energy, and he'll go out and say that we all didn't bring the energy, but I don't think bringing the MVP into this is fair.
Yeah, that's just crap. To say that he's not doing well because he didn't win the MVP. I mean, if anything, you would throw that on your shoulders. You would say, no, I'm going to go out and prove that I should have been the MVP. Not that I'm going to, pack up my lunch and go home. I just think Embiid, he just hasn't looked right because of the face. I'll give him the pass on that. He looked like he was like in pain. Like somebody get that man something that's got pain medication to it. That type
Which boils down to, Bill, why is his face broken? Because the Sixers were up 25 points in Game 6 against the Raptors with 3 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Playoff teams, I saw a stat, are 4,000-0 when they are up 25 with 3 minutes left.
Right.
Guess who was still on the court in that situation?
Yeah,
Thank you, Doc Rivers.
Right.
Joel Embiid he gets elbowed in the face, and now the season's probably going to end because of that.
Yep. No, that I agree. Completely agree. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, go ahead.
Last night did continue to confirm, though, the winner of this Bucks-Celtics series is going to the finals.
Right.
The Heat aren't that good.
No. Jimmy Butler's getting hot.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler's getting hot.
They play hard. They bring energy. But they're not that good.
No, but yeah, I mean, I agree because we said that at the beginning of the series. We said without a doubt that that the winner of this series was going to be the representative, if you will. Oh, by the way, I was going to say this: the Bucks, 9.5 underdogs. I'm watching Bally's, and they got a betting show on right now. Tonight's contest, 9.5 for a money line. Is all the money starting to come in on Boston all of a sudden? I mean,
it was
heavy
5.5 yesterday. No, I still see 5.5.
Okay. Oh, well, they just had it up at 9.5, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. When did that change? I can see it going up by a point, but not 4. Holy mackerel. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to get back into some Bucks chatter. Going to talk some Bucks basketball, and looking forward to it, and really start to break down what's coming up tonight. So hang in there for that. We're also got some Brewers. We'll give you some Brewers update. Brewers. By the way, I'm getting a lot of people that are saying, where are the Brewers at? Brewers are over on YouTube. Brewers are on YouTube right now. Scoreless, but the Brewers are on YouTube. That game just got underway down in Cincinnati.
Actually, now 1-0 Cincinnati.
Is it 1-0 now? Okay.
Yeah, bottom one.
So the Reds, you know, when we all know it can heat up, and the Reds can actually hit the baseball in bunches. We saw it here at American Family Field, and we saw it last night. Obviously, they didn't go away, but it's just whether or not their pitching is good enough to sustain, because their pitching is just so bad. They may win, or they may lose a game, you know, by 4 runs, but they'll lose it 9-5. They'll still play 5, but they just don't have enough pitching to get it done. So hopefully the Brewers get a win in this rubber match. So that's where you find the game. You can't look on Bally's. You go to youtube.com, just search Brewers, and it should pop right up. It should be there for you. So watch the game and continue to listen to the program. It's that simple. It's that simple. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this. Hang in there.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucks and Celtics series is tied at 2 games apiece. That's after Boston went into Fiserv Forum last night, earned a 116-108 win in Game 4. Milwaukee led by 7 heading into the final quarter before the Celtics made 16 of 19 shots on their way to scoring 43 points in the fourth. Al Horford had 16 of his 30 in that final stretch. Giannis Antetokounmpo finished with 34 points, 18 rebounds. He understands they blew a chance to take a commanding 3-1 lead, but he's not going to dwell on it.
Like, you win, you feel great. You lose, you feel terrible, you know, but I'm over myself, you know, like at the end of the day, like I know what the deal is. The team knows what the deal is. We got to go to Boston and try to win a game. Now, no matter what I feel, it doesn't really matter. Emotions are for movies, you know, not for basketball.
Game 5 is set for tomorrow in Boston. Turning to the Brewers, they have lost 3 straight games for the first time this year. Cincinnati got 6 runs, 5 earned off of Brandon Woodruff on its way to a 10-5 win last night. Woodruff's ERA ballooned to 5.97 on the year. Going to be the same 2 teams tonight at Great American Ballpark. First pitch is set for 5:40.
Your work-life balance is important to you, and Sutton Transport agrees. Sutton Transport offers a 5-day work week. Same start times daily, and you'll be home nightly and on weekends. Sutton Transport is now hiring CDL drivers and forklift operators for all shifts. Enjoy some of the best benefits in the industry. Consistent year-round work, twice-a-year wage increases, and enjoy your family time you deserve. That is work-life balance. The road to success is with Sutton Transport. Apply at suttontrans.com.
Well, the Packers now have 8 of their 11 draft picks under contract. Team announced yesterday that 7th-round pick Rasheed Walker had signed his deal. Team also signed free agent linebacker Kobe Jones. He was among the players that took part in the rookie minicamp this past weekend as a tryout player. Full team going to be on the field for OTAs later this month. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Big time. Need to get this one. Gotta have it. Must win tonight. Must win tonight. Going to be talking some more Bucks basketball coming up here, bottom of the hour. And this is this one of your guys out of Boston, East Coasterner, so to speak? There, Ben. George is Bilecki.
Bilecki, yeah, kind of. He actually was a Madison guy. He was working at NBC 15 here, covering Badger sports.
I was going to say, I thought I knew the name.
Boston. Yeah, moved out to Boston last year and has covered their sports there since then.
George Bilecki is going to be joining us from NESN, the Northeast Sports Network in Boston. Going to be giving us a lowdown as to what it's like right now in the Beantown area and what they're feeling and what their thoughts are. How much of a must-win game is it for them? Because Boston's got to be feeling the same situation. You got to get it at home. You got to win here to be able to, at the very least, push it back here for a Game 7 should you go to Milwaukee and take a loss. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, that quick, the Reds are on top of the Milwaukee Brewers 4-0, bottom of the first, and still going. Still going. 4-0, bottom of the first. Reds is still at the plate. So there you go. 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in and give us a shout, do it.
Did you see Mo Egger's tweet from last night?
I did not.
So he was at the Reds game.
Okay.
His tweet reads, and this became a story, said, "I love the Reds. I love coming to Great American Ballpark. Those things remain regardless of the team's record. But if you're advertising $3 beers and $2 hot dogs on Tuesdays, you cannot run out of both in the top of the fourth inning."
That's their big hook right now is like $2 Tuesdays or $1 Tuesdays or something like that. It's $3 beers, $2 hot dogs, $1 ice cream. It's a 3-2-1 Tuesdays, 3-2-1 Tuesdays. And that's what they're advertising. And it has been for that ownership group on opening day in Cincinnati. There's Castellini. I think it's Bob Castellini is the owner, and then George, maybe I can't remember the guy's name. I think it's his son who's like the CEO of the team, and there has been a lot of cries because of the deals they made in the off season, in getting rid of some of the talent. But then turning around and bringing in lesser talent for the same amount of money. Originally, it was just a cash dump. You could see it. It was just a cash dump. That's all it was. So they were just getting rid of cash. They just figured they weren't going to win, weren't going to compete, so just get rid of everybody. What they did was, because so many fans went crazy, and not to sell out opening day in Cincinnati is like unheard of. That would be like the Packers not selling out. You don't do it. If you don't sell out opening day, which is the most celebrated day in the city, then, what's gone wrong with the world? Hell has indeed frozen over. So they didn't sell out opening day. And there were a lot of people that were calling the local radio stations and such that were saying it's time for the Castellinis to sell the team. Because Bob Castellini made a promise, and he said his wife was all in, and that if Mama wasn't happy on winning, then nobody would be happy, and so he commits to win. And all the stuff that he said has kind of been bogus. And so there's a lot of demands to sell the team. Well, then his son stood up at the podium, which should have been this joyous day. Welcome back to baseball. We're going to do everything we can. When Mark Attanasio sat down with Doug Melvin and David Stearns years ago, they said, give us a couple of years. They were real honest with the fans. Give us a couple of years. I know it's going to be trying. We want to win, but we want to do it right. So there's some things we need to tweak. It's going to take a little time. We want to cultivate our minor league system. We want to do this. We want to do that. And then we're going to start to win. You'll see it. I promise. And people basically sat back with their arms folded, looked at Mark Attanasio and said, you get this chance. Prove it. You get this chance. Here you go. So, and it paid off. It's been successful. Castellini said, this is what we're going to do, and really has not lived up to that bargain. They've made some moves a couple of years ago, and they spent some money a couple of years ago, but they just never were able to compete. They were never able to get over the hump. So they started the fire sale. And everybody said, well, wait a minute. You were going to do this. You were going to do that. You haven't done it. you've had a lot of issues in the front office and what's going on. And so now there are people that are demanding to sell the team. And his son, I think his name's, I could be wrong. If it's not George, I apologize. Castellini went to the microphone on opening day and said, there's people that were there that were saying, it's time to sell the team, whatever. And he said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? And people are like, what? Phil Castellini. Thank you very much. Phil Castellini. He said, what are you going to do about it? Where are you going to go? You think we're going to sell it to somebody? There's no guarantee they're going to keep it here. Well, come on. You're not moving the Cincinnati Reds. Major League Baseball's first major league team with the tradition and the history, the fact that they have a brand new stadium, they've got an incredible fan base that's built in. You're not moving them. That'd be like moving the Cardinals or the Cubs. You're not moving them. It's a dumbass statement to make. You're not moving them. There are other teams in Major League Baseball that are going to move far before ever the thought would be to lose Cincinnati Reds out of Cincinnati. Let's take the A's, for example. Tampa Bay Rays, for example. There's other teams that would possibly move way before the Reds. So anyway, that's what happened. And it has been an onslaught of FU from the fans. I mean, they're announcing 5 and 10 and 15,000 that are there. There's probably 2,500 people there in the stadium. This city has basically said, screw you. Until you put a competitive team on the field, screw you. So what they did is they offered 3-2-1 Tuesdays. $3 hot dogs, $2 beer, or $3 beers, $2 hot dogs, and $1 ice creams. And so yesterday, during the first of these, they ran out of all of it in the fourth inning.
Should be a 3-2-1-3. 3-2-1, but only for the first 3 innings.
Right. That's embarrassing. To do that to your fans is embarrassing. And you know why? They said, we ran out. Everybody showed up and bought. No, they didn't. You cut it off. You don't run out of beer. That's just absurd. You don't run out. Have you ever been to into the bowels of American Family Field, Ben?
No.
They've got now granted, they change it out every day, but they've got a room downstairs. And that room is stacked with nothing but beer barrels. I mean, floor to ceiling, 20 feet high, it's a warehouse. It's a warehouse of beer. They will never run out, ever. And for the Reds to say they ran out, I think it's a lie. I think they cut it off because they didn't want to lose money.
Yeah, you go to Philadelphia, they have a $1 dog night, which is a big draw. And I mean, they sell, let's say there are 25,000, 30,000 people at the game. They'll sell 40, 50,000 hot dogs. Yeah. They'll never run out.
No. How do you run out? Let's say your fan base has basically been 10,000 people. Okay. Everybody that shows up eats 5 hot dogs. That's 50,000 hot dogs. How do you not have that on hand? That's the Reds. That's the Reds. They have completely flip-flopped from the tight-fisted patriarch that was Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals from years gone by. Since then, he's turned the reins over to his kids. But the Reds have become the Bengals, and the Bengals have become the Reds. It's terrible down there. It's just an awful situation. And I feel a lot of my friends were, not anymore, but were Reds. They're Reds fans, but they're not going to games. They're not. It used to be that it was like, hey, what are you guys doing this weekend? Oh, we got a bunch of us. We're going down to the ball game. That was kind of the thing to do. And not anymore. Not anymore. They're all going out and doing other stuff, man. All going out and doing other stuff. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Give us a shout, 877-867-1670 if you want to find us. Do it. Is tonight's game for the Milwaukee Bucks, though, a must-win? Is tonight's game for the Bucks a must-win? Hit us up. Let's go to the phone calls. Let's go to Mike listening to us in West Dallas. Mike, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
I'm doing good, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. What's up?
Good. Yeah, honestly, I don't think tonight is a must-win because I just point to last year. If memory serves me correct, the Bucks lost Game 5 in Brooklyn, and then they won Game 6 at home, and then they won Game 7 at Brooklyn against Durant, which I didn't think they had a prayer of winning that game. But Giannis, showed out, and then Holiday made some really clutch shots down the stretch. So obviously it'd be nice to get a win tonight, but I don't consider it a must win. But I think there's three things that the Bucks need to do tonight if they want to get a win. When you watch teams like the Phoenix Suns or the Golden State Warriors, one reason that they're so successful is because there's 6 or 7 passes every possession. It's drive and kick,
Mm-hmm.
Find the open shooter. If a guy like Landry Shamet can penetrate into the lane and find an open Devin Booker for a three, why can't a guy like Pat Connaughton or Grayson Allen do the same thing? I think those guys are perfectly capable of doing that. So it can't just be all on Giannis to create shots for others. And the same thing goes for Holiday. And number two, I don't understand why George Hill is even getting any playing time. I don't think he gives you much offensively or defensively. I'd rather see Javon Carter out there because at least he's a bulldog defensively,
right,
and can guard a guy. I think Bobby Portis needs to get more run because he's kind of that igniter off the bench. He can give
I agree with.
15 points. Yeah, he energizes the other guys. When he makes a big dunk or a big offensive rebound, you can tell the Bucks kind of go on a run after that. And number three, I think you have to, and I know the Bucks philosophy is, make other guys beat you, other than Tatum and Brown. But, Al Horford, he's been a Bucks killer his whole career. So you can't just let him have pregame jump shots out there. You at least have to get a hand in his face and make it tougher on him. I mean, what are your thoughts, Bill?
Completely agree. First of all, I believe Bobby Portis needs more minutes. George Hill, he's got that relationship with Coach Bud going all the way back to the Spurs days, and I think he has a lot of trust in him to be able to go out and play defense. Now, some of the shots that were put up over George Hill, they're just undefendable. I mean, they were just hitting shots. But I agree with you on the passing the basketball. I said that yesterday. Look at the spacing on the floor that the Bucks had down the stretch. The spacing was terrible. At one point in time, they had 4 guys and defenders on the same side of the floor trying to get a shot off, and they couldn't do it because it was so easy to defend. They don't space very well. The only thing I can say from last year to this year is last year when they were down, they had Middleton. This year, they don't. They don't have that other guy to step up and make shots, to take the pressure right now off of Drew Holiday. Holiday has to hit. Portis has to hit. Well, Grayson Allen has to get more opportunities to hit. I mean, we haven't seen him really play much offense ever since either game 1 or 2, going back to the Chicago series. So somebody besides Giannis has to start hitting to pull the defense out, and the spacing on the floor has to be so much better for this team.
Right. No, I agree. And I think Drew Holiday will play better. He has to be the Robin to Giannis's Batman. And I know he's more of a number 3 option, but he's proven that, when Giannis was out against the Hawks last year, him and Middleton did handle the load.
Mm-hmm.
And Holiday actually played well in that Game 6 win. I believe it was on the road against the Hawks. So I think he'll play better. And overall, I think the Bucks will come up because they've proven when their back's against the wall, they actually do tend to play better.
Yeah.
And they play with more passion, more energy. So I think they will go out there and get a win tonight.
I hope, man. Cross your fingers. I hope you're right. I would be glad to come on the program tomorrow and be completely wrong, no doubt. Mike, appreciate the phone call, man. That's Mike from West Dallas giving us a shout. You do too. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You want to find us? Please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Our friends over there at New Mail Medical, treating guys with it. Now, I stopped in yesterday. I told you I would. I went in there yesterday and I started checking out the all-in-one weight loss program, the meal plan, and all the things that they give you along with the meal plan, the supplements and such. It's really kind of common sense, but they give things to boost metabolism. They give things to boost the body's ability to kind of start to shed some fat, make you feel full, things like that. Plus, they give you the meal plan along the way. So if you're looking to shed some pounds, and we all know yesterday, boom, 88 degrees, 90 degrees, sweltering humidity. Okay, man, you're starting to sweat. You've probably got that under boob sweat going, and your T-shirts are looking kind of fun. It's T-shirt season, man. Look good, feel good about running around outside. Get a hold of our friends at New Mel Medical Center, 414-455-4451. If it's not proof positive enough alone, Justin, who is their media buyer, who I got a chance to see a picture of, Justin, pretty big dude for a long time in his life. Justin's lost over 100 pounds following this system. If you do it, It works. I can't emphasize that enough. Plus, if you got ED, it's got you down, pardon the pun. They can help you out with that. How about low T, low testosterone? They can help you out with that. So many things they can do, but you can't do anything if you don't call. Get a hold of them over there at the New Mel Medical Center, 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. Continue on. Is this a must win for your Milwaukee Bucks? Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michael Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michael Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Thunder is back, and you don't want to miss it. June 30th through July 3rd. It's the NASCAR Cup Quick Trip 250 and the Xfinity Series Henry 180. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Good stuff today. Good stuff from everybody. I know it's an anticipatory Wednesday. Anxious. Getting ready for the game tonight. Can't wait. Can't wait. Got an email here from Bob. Bob says, hey, Bill, tonight, going to be grilling out. Steaks on the grill and a celebratory cigar ready to go after Giannis and the guys kick the blank out of the Boston Celtics. I have belief and faith. I wish you did too. That's from Bob. Bob, there is not much that tells me that the Bucks are going to get a win since I saw them play after game one. Since game one of this series, they have been the better team. The Boston Celtics have. It doesn't mean the Bucks can't win because the Bucks have won a game, but just overall performance had in game three. Had the Bucks had there been 3 more minutes on the clock, the Bucks lose that game. Boston made a furious comeback. Bucks had a double-digit lead and watched it go away. Bucks had a double-digit lead in game 4. They just couldn't fend them off. They went up from up 13 to losing that game significantly down the stretch to where there was just nothing left in the tank. They've been outscored 28 points in the fourth quarter in this series as of right now. There's just not a lot to make me believe that right now they've got a head of steam going into this thing. They were outscored by 21 in the fourth quarter. Actually, more than that, I think. No, they were outscored by 15 in the fourth quarter. They were at 43 points they allowed the Celtics to score. Now, to your point of view, I'm sure you're sitting there saying the Bucks had open looks. They just didn't hit their shots. True. If the Bucks hit their shots, chances are it's a lot closer game or the Bucks win. I agree with that. That's why I don't think the Bucks are just dead in the water. What I'm saying is you got to win tonight, though. If you don't win tonight, you have lost the last game on your home court, the game that you really needed on their court, and they have pretty much outplayed you after game 1. You were able to kind of steal one from them in that first game at home at the Fiserv Forum to go up 2-1. But they were coming back and they were going to make a game of it then. And I don't know. We have not heard anything. Ben, have you heard anything about Chris Middleton? I get a lot of people that ask me all the time, is Middleton coming back? I have not heard anything about Middleton being ready to come back. I know he's not playing tonight. I know that. But I have not heard anything about Middleton coming back. Have you?
No, I have not.
I have not either. 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in, feel free. Do you feel tonight is a must win? Jason says, yes, tonight must win. Bucks have to get momentum back. Steve says, after what they did last year, I believe in them. Even if it's a game 7 and they're playing on the road, they can still win this series. This is from Bob. No, I already read that one. Bill says, hey, you guys, the Bucks must win tonight and then must win at home. I don't trust going on the road to get that other victory. And he also says, is Ben sweltering right now? Heat index at 94 in Madison. It's hot everywhere. I know the heat index, like where I'm at, is like mid 80s, but they said the further inland, the further you get away from that giant ice cube that we all live next to called Lake Michigan, further inland you go, it's pretty sweltering. As a matter of fact, Christopher says 96 in Janesville right now. Oof. Awesome.
I can gladly say the studio is quite cold. That's why I probably was more excited to get to work today than any other day since I've started.
Maybe you just throw a bedroll down for the next week.
I don't know.
Sleep in the studio.
Ugh.
I
could. Yeah, but then I have to wake up and see Ebo and Nelson.
This is true.
I'm fine seeing them in the morning, but I don't want it to be the first thing I see.
Yeah, this is true. I get it. What else do we have here? This is from Farah, who says, go Bucks. I believe the Bucks are going to get a win tonight, get a win at home, close it out, and then get on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's not panic. I had my front porch done by epoxy flooring done right. Looks beautiful. Here's a picture. Oh, wow. That does look nice. I like that. Had the front porch done. I never thought of having the porch done. Interesting. Looks very good on your house, and the color matches the color. It's kind of a grayish blue Nantucket style home. That's really cool. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So who is this from? Who is that quote from? Buckstar Chris Middleton has progressed to on the court work like shooting and dribbling, as well as some very light contact. Who's that from?
We heard that reported during the game the other night.
Okay.
From Stephanie Reddy, which is she talked to Mike Budenholzer, and that's what she got.
Gotcha. Okay, so he's nowhere near ready.
I don't think he plays the rest of the series.
I don't think he plays. Yeah, I don't either. He's progressed to on the court work like shooting and dribbling. Well, we saw that a couple of weeks ago when they had him in Boston with that giant ice bag around his knee as he was just taking a few jump shots in the corner, but he wasn't even jumping very well. And when you talk about very light contact, in other words, he's maybe just dribbling and backing a guy down, but he's not dribbling and cutting. He's not doing that. I would say at this point, if by chance you win this series, I don't think you see Middleton until the finals. Would you agree?
That's what I feel right now. I agree.
I think if you don't need him until the finals, that means he would have another. If you win the series, because let's just say the series ends in the next 2 games and the Bucks win, the next series would begin middle of next week. So and then a week and a half, 2 weeks. So that'd be another 3 weeks, which means he would then have been out 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks since this injury. And that still might not be enough if you get him to June, the beginning of June, maybe. And even then, if you don't have to bring him back right away, maybe you don't do it. 877-867-1670. Frank says, the Bucks are without their second best player and are tied 2 games each with a team that dismantled the Nets. And yet here's another Sky is Falling radio host just because they lost a game. Frank, have you not watched the series? After a win tonight, you're going to be singing their praises again tomorrow like you never had any doubts. No, Frank, that's a lie. You obviously don't listen, Frank. First of all, Frank, they haven't played better basketball than the Celtics since game 1. That's my first. And I've said this from the beginning. So if you've listened, I've had consistency. 2, if they win tonight, kudos to them. I will be singing their praises because they have not looked like the better team. They've looked like it in spurts, but not consistently. Not consistently. And I've said that I picked the Celtics to win. They're hitting their shots. The Bucks aren't. Bucks aren't spacing very well. They need big games from people other than Giannis, and they haven't gotten that consistency. It's not Sky is Falling. It's must-win game. I'm sure, Frank, you're going to be the one that's going to come back here and say, oh, my God, if, say, the Bucks lose and they lose the series, you're going to be the one that's going to come back and say, oh, my God, you were right. Yeah, right. I doubt it. Well, I doubt you have that kind of character in you, Frank. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Going to talk from the Boston side of things when we come back. How about that? The Boston side of things when we come back. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. We're back in Judge Gina's court where debate's heating up.
Order.
Sorry, Gina.
That's Judge Gina, and this case is dismissed.
Dismissed?
Come on, guys. Wisconsin's home team. Everyone knows it's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
You got us there, Judge Gina. Can't argue with that.
Others sell only 1 or 2 lines of windows, and both are vinyl. Pella lets you choose from an unbeaten 6 window lines, 2 lines of budget-friendly vinyl windows, 3 lines of luxurious wood, traditional to contemporary, and Impervia, Pella's exclusive never rot fiberglass, engineered to be the strongest window material anywhere, period. And there's financing to fit any budget. And now, up to $2,500 off an installed patio door, up to $3,000 off an installed entry door. What's left to argue?
Pella now? Pay later. Pella now. Pay
Court's adjourned. With the price of materials rising across the country, don't let your huge savings slip away. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it.
Glad to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Brought to you by our buddy Dwayne up at Dwayne's Cover It All. That's in Wausau, Wisconsin's best canvas and upholstery and boat cover provider. And if you've got a canvas and an awning out in front of your business, you can do that. Whether it's furniture, you name it, for the office, for home office, if you will. He can fix it. He can recover it, reupholster it, whatever it happens to be. Get a hold of our buddy Dwayne at Dwayne's Cover It All in Wausau. He does unbelievably fantastic work, and all you got to do is give him a buzz. Go to Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That's Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com or 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. Now let's do this. We go out to the East Coast, where the Bucs tonight are facing a must-win situation, where not necessarily where the season's over, but I think as far as momentum and feeling like they have a legitimate shot, they've got to get a win tonight. George Bilecki, he is with NESN, covers everything Boston and up there with the New England Patriots and such, joining us on the hotline. George, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Bill. I'm doing great. I love that the series is back in Boston. I agree with you. It's a really pivotal Game 5. Must win for both teams, but more so for the Bucs, as the Celtics have shown they can hang around late if they withstand the hurricane that is Giannis and are stuck with them late in the game and keep the game within grasp. He could get tired. He could be human. And they have the closures they need. So I'm really excited. And the fans, it's a cliche, but the fans at TD Garden have been great since mid-January on. I expect it to be the loudest I've heard it in some time tonight, with the Bucs back in town and the Celtics for a crucial Game 5.
See, that's what I was going to say, was that had the Bucs won the game at Fiserv, then I think fan-wise you start to go, you know what? Maybe the Bucs just are the champs for a reason. They're probably going to end up closing it out back at Fiserv. They're that better team. But now, with the win, with the series tied up, knowing who wins Game 5 usually goes on to win. And the feeling is that whoever wins the series is going on to an NBA Finals. I'm sure Boston fans are now feeling it like, hey, the finals are within our grasp.
Yeah, and it goes back to the last two games. I mean, even look at Game 3 when they lost and they had a terrible third quarter, but they entered the fourth down 13, and they're an Al Horford tipping away from seeing that game go into overtime, right? Then you go to Game 4, Celtics were only down, it felt like an eternity, but only down 7 when you look at it now. So the Celtics themselves saw that they can do that comeback from a 13-point deficit and get the game within grasp, lock down the Bucs, and they did it again in Game 4. So it's how it goes. If it was, let's say, if the Bucs held on, I'm telling you, this defense is what gives the fans confidence, because whether the Bucs have won or lost, the most they've scored is 108 points in this series. And the Celtics have the guys that they can put up more than that. But you can't say how pivotal it is that they could take a series lead for the first time in the second round series at home in TD Garden, and it sets them up. Put all the pressure on the defending champs. And it is now. It feels like it's shifting that way, because it's been said, this is the defending champs. The Bucs are the Bucs. Giannis is Giannis. Can Tatum do it? Well, he showed he could have a bad first 3 quarters and then show up in the fourth and close it out. And we just see how much the Bucs are really missing Chris Middleton. I've said it when he was out. I said, I'm a confident Celtics in 7 for this before the series began. And even after the first 2 games, I still felt Celtics in 7. That's out of respect to the Bucs. But now what we see is when Giannis needs that break. 5 minutes left in the fourth. He got out for just a minute. Jason Tatum went to attack mode again. Even when he was into, he was tired and dropped 8 points in just over a minute. They need Chris Middleton, for that defensive pressure to relieve that from Drew and Giannis, and the offensive time as well. All the pressure, all the stresses on Giannis to continuously hit big shots and come up big in moments. Chris Middleton has been a safety valve for him. He's missing him more than ever right now.
Who tonight? I mean, you talked about Tatum, and Tatum for a brief period of time anyway has found the fountain of youth. Do you expect that out of him again, or is it back to Jaylen Brown? Is it back to Smart? Is it back to White coming off of the bench? Who needs to really kind of have a big night tonight to put an emphatic stamp on this series against the Bucs?
I'm going to keep hammering on Al Horford. Now, I would have told you after Game 3 when he put up 22 and 16, right? After he did that, I'd be like, that's not happening again. One day off in between games. Nope, no way Al Horford does that. And he'd put up a career-high 30 points in the playoffs and 8 rebounds. I think that he has found the fountain of youth, and it sounds so simple to say, but he continues to be the X factor because defensively what he brings on Giannis, but at the same time, he has been the Celtics' most consistent player in this series and even in the Nets series. And when the Bucks, as good as they are as a defensive team, when Drew Holiday takes away Jason Tatum, when Giannis can eliminate the paint and take away Jaylen Brown as well, when Marcus Smart's shot isn't falling because the Bucks have challenged him, there's that next option, and it's Al Horford. And it's not just, hey, can you get us 8, 10, 12 points, because that's what Derek White's been doing. It's, can you step up? Can you get us 20-plus? Can you make the right plays every time? Can you pull down rebounds? Can you play on both ends of the floor? So I'll go back to Al Horford. Grant Williams needs to stay out of foul trouble again, but he can bring that defensive relief for Al off the bench. And Derek White does so much for the Celtics. What's been missing from his game is literally his offensive game. He didn't want to shoot. When he did shoot, it looked ugly. Well, now he's had 14 and 11 the last 2 games, and he's finding it efficiently. So I would give those 3 role players, and I feel like I'm dissing Al by calling him a role player, but I would give it to those 3 guys as the X factors in this. And that's what you need to do, because Giannis will give you everything you got. Can you withstand his tidal wave? Can you keep it close to the Bucks? And then fourth quarter, can Jason Tatum step in and find that next gear and elevate the team? And that's what we saw.
Is it just as simple as saying let Giannis have Giannis numbers and just keep Drew Holiday or Grayson Allen or Bobby Portis from getting theirs?
Yeah, I think it does. And at the same time, I wouldn't mind letting Drew get his as well, because as we've seen in the series, and you've seen when he becomes the number 2, he's just not that guy. If Drew Holiday is putting up 20-plus shots, which he has, and he hasn't shot better than 40% yet this series, let him shoot. But I think the Celtics' best defense is when Al Horford or Grant Williams can handle him one-on-one. If Robert Williams plays, because he had inflammation with his meniscus in his left knee after Game 3, if he could play, then he plays off ball and he just becomes an extra rim protector. But if Al Horford and Grant Williams can handle Giannis one-on-one, you keep the pressure and stay in the airspace of all the Bucks shooters, make their life very difficult. Giannis will get 28 to 35. He will get 8 to 13 assists. He will get double-digit rebounds. But if he gets after his, but he doesn't have the supporting cast of the shooters around him, that's going to bode well for this defense, especially because the Bucks aren't a great shooting team, especially when Chris Middleton isn't there. When you have guys like Bobby Portis, Grayson Allen, they need to get their shot created off the pass. But if you're in their airspace and denying that pass, then that makes them become inefficient in this game. So I think it does go back to let Giannis score, and he will. He's that great of a player, and especially if you let him get out in transition, but let him score, shut down the other guys, and that's the Celtics win.
Talking with George Valecki of NESN Boston, covering the Celtics and the Bucks tonight in Boston for Game 5 of this series. So we all know the statistics for the person or the team, I should say, that wins Game 5, their likelihood to go on to win. This tonight, do you let them play if you're the officials, because there's been so much criticism heaped upon the officiating, or do you tighten it up and try to control, at least from this thing getting chippy and out of hand?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Bill. I don't want to say I want to see a tighter whistle, because I like how the play is going. I just want to see a more consistent whistle, because you're seeing guys get away on both ends of the floor with offensive fouls and then not. Giannis got teched for snarling at Al Horford. How is that a tech? And then Al Horford just making a normal play. I mean, he's waving his hand out. He's fired up. Giannis, wrong man, right spot. Wrong man, wrong spot. So Al Horford gets a tech. It just doesn't make sense. Eliminate those. Call more consistently. Let's see a fair offensive game. Give these defenders credit for how they're holding their ground, because it's also been a message to Grant Williams. They're not going to call anything on Giannis unless he falls. I don't want to see guys flop. So I guess I am leaning towards a lighter whistle, but at the same time, I just want it more consistent, and I don't want to see someone else get teched because they're being emotional and they're having fun after throwing down a poster dunk.
For tonight, for the Bucks to win, what do the Bucks have to do? I mean, to me, I think first and foremost, they got to have a sizable lead going into the fourth quarter, because the Celtics have proven that any kind of a lead really doesn't matter to them. And in Game 3, had they had 2 more minutes, they probably win that game too. So to me, it's not getting this just a lead. It's getting a sizable lead and then spacing down the court and working the clock and not taking these bad, ill-thought shots, just heading down the field or heading down the court and then popping it up right away and giving it back to the Celtics. That's, to me, what has to happen for the Bucks. What has to happen tonight, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think what's crucial for the Bucks is on the rebounding game, and they've always been dominant there. But if they can get their defensive rebounds and win in that area, I mean, it goes back to Game 1. They were +6 on the defensive boards. You get Giannis out in transition. You get him those easy buckets because for him to get up and get high scoring, if he's going to take 30, 32 shots, the style of play he has, it takes a lot out of him. So you go in that front and just it's winning in the basics, forcing the turnovers. Because what the Celtics I've noticed have done wrong, what's been their undoing, is they're just not playing principle sound basketball. The double teams haven't been sharp. The ball handling hasn't been great. They've been sloppy with taking care of it. And their offensive game plan has been stagnant. But when they reverse all of that, it happens and it works well for them. What we've seen from the Bucks now, I think it goes back to them too, 4 principles. You go back to the Game 1 win, their shooters were falling. The offense had ball movement to it. Now, Giannis and Drew would still need to create their own shots, but it wasn't all reliant on that. What I saw in Game 4 was Giannis gets the ball, a lot of standing around watching him, and I understand that's kind of what got them here. But at the same time, he needs to know the ball can leave his hands, but it can get back, and his teammates have to be engaged to move it around. So they definitely need a sizable lead late, but it's how they get there. And to me, it is getting the whole team engaged, getting everyone involved. And they need a big night, an efficient night, I'd say, from Drew Holiday. But we're seeing it with whether it's Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, or Derek White guarding him. You're seeing that the depth of the Celtics defense, the challenges it presents to their opponents.
Who do you give the edge coaching-wise to?
I give it to Ime Udoka. I really do. I mean, Bill, we'll go back last playoff run. There was a question during the Brooklyn series, during the Atlanta series. Do you let Mike Budenholzer continue to be the head coach of this playoffs for the Bucks? He can be really stubborn, but from Ime, he can be stubborn as well. But when I see the shortcomings of the Celtics is that they're not playing what they've done all year, and that's being sharp on defense, being aggressive, being physical. They know the refs aren't going to call every foul. At the same time, having that team-like basketball ball movement and knowing that everyone can get theirs, but always play through a Jason Tatum or a Jaylen Brown. And when Al is playing the way he is, he said to him to be the aggressor, which I never think you'd say about Al Horford. What we're seeing from Mike Budenholzer is give it to Giannis, and he's going to figure things out. And I think it goes back to the offense. You lose a Chris Middleton, it's huge. I mean, that's clearly the second-best player on this team. But you still have the best player in the world in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it shouldn't be simply as long as the Celtics show up, they win. There needs to be more challenges from it. And I just think throughout the games, you see what happened. Giannis took himself out 5 minutes left in Game 4. He shot the ball once for the remainder of the game. He didn't score a single bucket. Meanwhile, Jason Tatum from that 5-minute point on, 8 points, and turned to flip the switch and shot 5 for 6 in the fourth quarter overall. So you're seeing the two different, I think, styles of systems these guys coach in. And it's funny because they come from the same coaching tree. I just give the advantage to Ime Udoka because I just think he is more willing to make adjustments, more willing to play through his guys, and also let the role players shine as well. And just adjust as games go on and the series goes on.
Great stuff, George. I look forward to talking to you down the stretch. Maybe we get to a Game 7, and then we'll see what happens from there, okay?
You got it, Bill. Thank you.
Appreciate it, buddy. There you go. George Balekji. He is joining us from NESN Boston. You can find him at George Balekji, Balekji. George Balekji over on Twitter, bringing us some good stuff. By the way, the Brewers, after early on, were down 7-0. Christian Yelich just hit a 3-run bomb. It looked like a pop-up at first, to be honest with you. And then all of a sudden, it just kept flying. And that's the kind of atmosphere they have down there at Great American, especially if the wind's blowing up the river valley and it's warm and humid like it is today. One can just get up in the air and just kind of go. So the Brewers somewhat back in. It's 7-3 right now in the top of the third. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I'm thanking God I got my Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin today. And here's the reason why. Because it's hazy, hot, and humid. And I love it. I love it. But not while I'm inside working. I don't want to be sweating while I'm sleeping and all that. I want to be sitting in the comforts of home, watching a tube, checking out the sports, sitting in the bar, sleeping comfortably, working comfortably, eating comfortably. And if I want to go outside, I'll sit back on the patio and enjoy it. But I've got Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to keep me cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Thank God that I do. And they have 6 different lines to keep you comfortable with, to enhance the value of your home, to enhance the beautification of your home, and to make it budget friendly for you. All you got to do is go to PellaWI.com, Pella, PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. Or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. And you too can see for yourself what I've been bragging about for such a long period of time. They have many different things to offer, colors and hardware and roll screen and slider windows and you name it. They've got it. Great people over there. Check out PellaWI.com or call them 855-PELLA-WI. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
That's a good sign when you're going the other way like that.
Christian Yelich with a 3-run bomb, and it's not that the game is in hand now, but it's a little bit closer. Brewers now trail 7-3 rather than 7-0, and it's about going to the bottom of the third, but they're chipping away, 7-3 right now. Brewers get through the bottom of the third, now going to the top of the fourth, as a matter of fact. That was a quick 1-2-3 inning. So there you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. John says, hey, unit, love the program. I feel tonight is not a must win, and I will tell you why. I think Giannis has a lot of confidence and tried to calm his team in his post-game press conference comments the other night. I think he feels like they can win as long as they don't get tight and panic. Drew Holiday will eventually start hitting his shots. We saw it last year in the postseason. And between Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton, they can make up for the absence of Chris Middleton. I do feel, though, that Bobby Portis needs some more minutes and George Hill needs to sit a bit. But I also agree that George Hill can come in and be a calming influence during a large run. But Bud needs to call timeouts and use them a little more wisely. And this team needs to spread the ball out. Brook Lopez is not getting the ball in the perimeter. A couple of big shots from Brook Lopez outside, a couple of inside offensive rebounds, and you're right back in it. Too many things going wrong that are just fundamentally fixable right now on this team. No worries here. Okay, there. All right. I like that. Give me reason for hope. I like that. If they, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier on in this in the broadcast, was if they hit their shots, yeah. If this team was hitting their shots in game 4, chances are they walk away with a win. Or at least it's close down the stretch, closer than what we saw, and maybe it gives them a last, shot opportunity. But things just started to fall apart, and they just couldn't recover. They didn't have they couldn't hit the shots. They were sloppy with the basketball. Oh my God, that's the other thing. The sloppiness with the basketball. Just again, not really respecting the ball at times. Now, they didn't turn it over a ton. Okay, it wasn't like they were just turning it over at will, because the Celtics, while they play really good defense, they weren't turning it over a bunch. Okay, but they turned it over in inopportune times and a couple of times down the stretch, and more so not necessarily a turnover in the sense of, just bad pass, but just coming down the floor, popping one up, just ill-advised, nobody around the bucket to grab an offensive rebound, just, not working the clock, just things like that, the little things, and then you turn it right back over to the Celtics. Celtics go down, hit a bucket, and they grab any momentum you had right back. It just, things like that, I agree. We got another hour yet to go. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucks and Celtics series is tied at 2 games apiece. That's after Boston went into Fiserv Forum last night, earned a 116-108 win in Game 4. Milwaukee led by 7 heading into the final quarter before the Celtics made 16 of 19 shots on their way to scoring 43 points in the fourth. Al Horford had 16 of his 30 in that final stretch. Giannis Antetokounmpo finished with 34 points, 18 rebounds. He understands they blew a chance to take a commanding 3-1 lead, but he's not going to dwell on it.
Like, you win, you feel great. You lose, you feel terrible, but I'm over myself, like, at the end of the day, I know what the deal is. The team knows what the deal is. We got to go to Boston and try to win a game. Now, no matter what I feel, it doesn't really matter. Emotions are for movies, not for basketball.
Game 5 is set for tomorrow in Boston. Turning the Brewers, they have lost 3 straight games for the first time this year. Cincinnati got 6 runs, 5 earned off of Brandon Woodruff on its way to a 10-5 win last night. Woodruff's ERA ballooned to 5.97 on the year. Going to be the same 2 teams tonight at Great American Ballpark. First pitch is set for 5:40.
Where can you learn the skills to take care of yourself and your family? An apprenticeship in construction. Imagine earning money while you learn and getting paid to go to class and graduating without big college debt. You can explore 11 different trades. To get started as an apprentice, visit buildyourcareerwi.org or search for ABC of Wisconsin online.
Well, the Packers now have 8 of their 11 draft picks under contract. Team announced yesterday that 7th-round pick Rasheed Walker had signed his deal. Team also signed free agent linebacker Kobe Jones. He was among the players that took part in the rookie minicamp this past weekend as a tryout player. Full team going to be on the field for OTAs later this month. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back. Final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. Glad to have you. Bucks tonight coming up against the Boston Celtics, and the Bucks trying to at least stop or slow down Al Horford. And Horford, 26 points per game, 64% beyond the 3 line for field goal percentage. And over the last couple of games, he's been just torching the Bucks, for lack of a better term. Got to do something different. Hey, speaking of something different, we all know the schedule release for the NFL schedule tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central Time on the NFL Network. 7 o'clock Central Time on the NFL Network. So that's when you're going to get the full Packers schedule. Tomorrow, they're going to have guests as they have this made-for-TV show of schedule release. Rather than just saying, here you go, they're going to highlight all these games and such. So you're going to have tomorrow, the guests tomorrow on the program are going to be the Rams quarterback, Matthew Stafford, Chargers safety, Derwin James, Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys, Cam Hayward from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Saints quarterback, Jameis Winston, NFL Network and CBS sports analyst Nate Burleson, Mike Tirico of Sunday Night Football, Franco Harris, the Pro Football Hall of Fame running back from the Steelers, the Pro Football Hall of Fame running back from the Dolphins, Larry Zonka, and Matt LaFleur. And also former NFL player and current German journalist Bjorn Warner from Allianz Arena. And he's going to talk about the games coming to Munich, Germany. So that's all going to happen tomorrow night as the full schedule release is going to happen for the NFL, which we're all looking forward to. We all know that. Who, what, where, when. That's what we want to know. Who are they playing? What time? Where's it going to be? And what time? When's it going to happen? What day? And we're good to go.
Wait for the incredibly insightful comments LaFleur is sure to give.
I know.
Just like at the podium.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to ask him about. You know, I wonder what they're going to ask him about. That's kind of what I'm thinking is, are you going to ask about the schedule? What does your team look like? I mean, you're going to get all the stand pat answers. I would love to see them say, you know, hey, you're going to be facing the coach that had the team prior to you, Mike McCarthy, coming back to Lambeau Field. What will that be like facing a guy that has a championship with that team that you currently coach?
Oh, I really appreciate the opportunity and, you know, a lot of respect for what Mike's done. He obviously has, did a lot for this organization. I look forward to welcoming them.
Right. Now, if you want to really make it a stance, can you say, you know, hey, Mike McCarthy never took that team to 3 consecutive NFC championship games. And, you know, and he's obviously always said, you know, you got to protect the home. You have taken them there, but you haven't been able to get them to a Super Bowl, and you can't even protect your home after getting everything to fall in your direction. What's the problem? So, you really want to go in there? Yeah, okay. There you go.
You know why I'm bitter is because there just is not enough drop board content coming out of the press conference.
I know, right?
You know?
Nope.
There's a little bit, but I don't know. I need some.
Need something.
I need some random stupid comments thrown in.
Yeah,
I could play.
Ted Thompson would drop some on us every now and then. You know, Ted would go off on this little tangent of what, and you're kind of like, well, what the hell is he talking about? You know, and Ted would give you some insight, or he would just never give you insight and babble about stuff, and that was great too. Pro Football Rumors is saying that the Packers are eyeing a veteran wide receiver. Could that possibly be Odell Beckham Jr. come mid-season? I've said that all along, that if by chance, and I don't think they get anything done, or I take that back. I think they get something done prior to training camp. But if by chance they don't, I can see them, if things don't go immediately the way they thought, go ahead and get OBJ early. So therefore, when he's ready to go, he's there. He's already studying your system. I could see that happening. But as of right now, I don't know if I'm gonna go in that direction. And this is Don. Don says, thoughts on the November 13th game. Well, that was announced a little earlier today with the Cowboys coming back to Lambeau Field. Mike McCarthy's coming back to Lambeau Field, as we all know. To me, okay. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of a reception for Mike. I hope people, I get that it didn't end great. But Mike McCarthy did a lot of winning in Green Bay. And I think, for the most part, people appreciate the fact that that group, Ted Thompson, Mike McCarthy, Dom Capers, you go through that whole list, Aaron Rodgers with Clay Matthews, with A.J. Hawk, with that offensive line they had, with all those guys, and Charles Woodson, I hope fans appreciate that. Because when that title came back to Titletown after being gone almost 20 years, it was just about 15 years, as a matter of fact. Mike and Aaron and Charles and, you know, anybody else that was on that team wildly celebrated. And I hope people appreciate that. Right? Complicated Fella says, no Troy or Joe calling a game. What will Packers fans complain about? I can't imagine. Can't imagine. AO says, what about OBJ or Julio Jones? Julio Jones, his better days are behind him by far. I don't think you go in that direction. I really don't. Sorry, but I'm not a Julio Jones fan. He's just lost so much because of injury over the years. He's just lost so much. This is from Pedro. It says, do you think the 76ers are out of it because Joel Embiid continues to worry about what Bill Simmons says? Didn't Bill Simmons kind of, didn't he have some derogatory things to say about Embiid versus Jokic and his play?
No. Embiid was so he talked for a while after the game about the MVP and all the stuff other people were saying. His take on the whole thing was he didn't think it was fair that someone like Simmons was voting in the award, when on his podcast he has said things like, he brought up some quote about Jalen Green, where Simmons said F Jalen Green, and how someone like that who has sway over other media members, what if the person he's talking about, you know, is up for this big award or an all-star appearance or a Supermax or something like that. Right. It had nothing to do with him. He was just talking about the process as a whole.
Yeah, because I remember Bill Simmons had some things to say about the award, and I can't it was like earlier this year. I thought somebody brought something up. Oh, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought they said that Bill Simmons. But Bill Simmons rips everybody. There's guys he likes and guys he doesn't like. We all understand that, but he rips kind of everybody. He's kind of like all over the board, but it's not like the guy doesn't know basketball. You know what I mean? Have you ever listened to Bill Simmons? He knows basketball.
I agree. So
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. When you start worrying about that type of person, your focus is not on basketball. You know. Embiid said, this is something I knew weeks ago, even probably 2 weeks ago before the season ended, after those games against Denver and Milwaukee, when ESPN's Tim Bontemps did his straw poll or whatever. I just knew it wasn't going to happen. Obviously, congrats to Nikolai, and he deserved it. He's had an amazing season. There's no right or wrong here. There's just a lot of candidates. It could have gone either way. Giannis, Devin Booker being on the best team in the league by far. So I guess every year it's all about whatever you guys decide, whatever fits the narrative as far as who's going to win. See, when guys say it fits the narrative, that means there's some kind of a conspiracy behind it. What's the narrative?
Well,
I've heard this from 3 or 4 different people now. What is the narrative? That would be my question. When you say the narrative, what's the narrative? It's just a vote on who people feel the MVP is.
He could be talking about like a Russell Westbrook situation where averaging a triple-double is suddenly this amazing thing and maybe could overshadow another great season where someone had 8 rebounds instead of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
He said, but to me, the only thing I'll say about these awards is that until I don't know how to explain it, I go back to what I heard on a podcast. Bill Simmons basically saying it sounded like he had a grudge against somebody, saying F. Jalen Green. If you're going to allow those types of people to vote on these awards, that's not fair. What if Jalen Green was in a position to earn a Supermax or, I don't know, an all-star appearance? You've got somebody sounding like that and has a lot of power. He can sway a lot of other media members, and you got somebody saying that type of stuff. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's okay. That's really not the only thing I'll say about these awards, or that's really the only thing I'll say about these awards. I'm not mad. The last 2 years in a row, I put myself in that position. It didn't happen. It's almost like at this point, it's whatever happens, happens. Last year, I campaigned about it. This year, I answer questions when I was asked. And the next, few years before I retire, it's almost like I don't know what else I have to do to win it. To me, it's just whatever. It's all about, not that I wasn't focusing on the bigger picture, but it's really time to really put all my energy into the bigger picture, which is to win this whole thing. I get it. Look, if you feel you've done everything, that's all you can do. You can't do anything more than that. I agree with that 100%. You can't fight your days worrying about what other people think of you, because eventually the statistics and everything else are eventually going to win out. You don't have to look any further than, say, like Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, all the accolades they got last year. Sometimes they didn't get run support. Their win totals, they didn't win 20 games, 22 games, 24 games. It wasn't like that, but they were recognized for what it is they did when it came to a Cy Young. Usually Cy Young award winners are 22, 23, 24 game winners. But we saw what happened last year. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. I want to give you a shout also to Duke. Duke says, not worried about this Bucks game tonight. Going to have a glass of bourbon, a good cigar, and sitting outside just like you, smoking it and watching my Bucks come home victorious. Duke, you the man. On that note, we got Kevin Holden from CBS 58 is going to be joining us when we come back. Stay tuned for that. Our friends at Stoley's Hog Alley, they are continuing to renovate. It is getting bigger and better, but you got to tear it down before you can build it back and build it back bigger and beautiful. That's what they're doing, but they're still open. Stoley's Hog Alley out in Oconomowoc. You can still stop in, take your picture in the giant chair, get a few good beverages, something to eat, but watch that thing come to life as each day they're removing stuff, they're tearing it down just to rebuild it and make it all brand new for you. Check out Stoley's Hog Alley out in Summit in Oconomowoc and Stoll's Old 109 up in Watertown, which is another tremendous place. And I'm sure they got the great big windows, the big garage door windows open today, as a matter of fact. So if you want to go watch the game and you're out in that Watertown area tonight, stop by. Hang in there. A lot more. We got Kevin Holden, CBS 58. He is going to join us. That is coming up next on The Bill Michaels Show.
This is The Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
They're racing and you don't want to miss it. June 9th through the 12th, it's the NTT IndyCar Series Saucio Grand Prix presented by AMR. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You know, another team that's efforting towards the postseason, they're in it, and they're in it to win it. That's our friends at the Milwaukee Admirals. Keep paying attention to them. Admirals hockey, they are in the postseason, up on the Moose. So you get through this series, you're going to be coming back home. Look for Admirals tickets against the Manitoba Moose, or anybody else for that matter, as they head towards the Calder Cup. Everything that is the Milwaukee Admirals. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. Best of luck as they continue on in their quest for a Calder Cup, and then the big announcement that the Blackhawks, an NHL exhibition game, coming to Milwaukee as well. So, best of luck to the Milwaukee Admirals. Joining us now over on the hotline, our good buddy Kevin Holden, CBS 58. Kevin, how you doing?
Bill, it's all good, man. I'll tell you that I'm between sets at the gym, and I'm talking to you because Drew has disappeared, presumably to do a bunch of push-ups, Drew Burgoyne. So we're good until he sees me, and then I might be in trouble.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. When you do see him, tell him we need our official weather forecaster for the motorcycle ride again this year. So we're gonna be calling on his services at some point for sure. Hey, let's start off with Brewers baseball. The Brewers hit a bump on the road in Atlanta. They ended up losing 2 out of 3. They lost the first one against Cincinnati, bounced back last night, albeit Devin Williams doesn't look real good. There have been a couple of hiccups this year, and then they started getting shelled today until Christian Yelich brought him back within 4. They're down 7-3 as we currently speak. Give me your thoughts on the Brewers, where they stand right now, and how things offensively anyway seem to be coming around.
Yeah, I think that's where the biggest thing was, and it goes back to that Red Series at home, the one where they scored 18 on the Wednesday and then 10 more on the Thursday and then went out on the road. I think that sometimes it's a matter of confidence, right? I mean, you have to have the hitters to make a lineup, but those hitters have to feel that level of confidence. And sometimes if one guy gets hot or 2 guys get hot, that changes everything. And Rowdy Tellez sort of started this with that massive 8 RBI game. And it's interesting how, those 8 RBIs count for that day. Like, they're done after that day. But the effect on the team, the effect on confidence continues for days and sometimes weeks at a time. And, yeah, the fact that they're giving up a lot of runs right now is, in these last couple games is a thing. But, if they keep scoring, they'll be fine.
Also, Devin Williams, do you have any concern for him right now?
I've had a little bit during the year. And with Williams, the weird thing is he'll have an outing. He had a Sunday outing a couple of weeks ago that was on Telemundo, and he just struggled enough that they had to get him out of there in the 8th inning. And I thought, man, that guy doesn't look like the guy who is dominating against, really lefties and righties. He's got that changeup, and he's just tough to hit normally. So seeing what you saw last night tells you that wasn't just a one-time thing, that there are appearances where this is happening for him. That's, it's coming back to him more often than not. Well, not more often than not, but enough to be a concern. So, yeah, the answer is there is a little bit of concern. I like that Craig Counsell's letting him try to work it out, because I don't think he's at the position yet where it's going to be like, some sort of demotion. But a couple more bad outings could get you there.
Also, we've seen the bat of Christian Yelich begin to heat up again today, a 3-run bomb that he ended up hitting. We read that article from Adam McCarthy where the fact that the ball is bouncing off of his bat for a long time, it was just heading into the ground. It seems like things are starting to turn around a little bit for Chris. I don't want to say it proclaim him back, but it seems like, knock on wood, things are starting to turn around for Christian Yelich.
And it's the right kind of turnaround, because when you have hitters that all of a sudden will jump up and for 2 or 3 or 4 at bats will look terrific and then go right back to their old ways, that's a little different. It's breaking out of a slump, but not on a long-term way. And what Yelich has done in these last couple of weeks, you see ball after ball after ball leaving the bat with an exit velo in the triple digits. That's wonderful. Now you do that, time and time again, you're going to get hits no matter where that ball goes. So that, to me, is the most exciting part of it, is that it's regular, consistent, hard contact. You mentioned the part about knocking it into the ground. I think the timing mechanism has been strange for him, going really back to the knee injury when he broke the kneecap in 2019. I mean, that's since then the timing mechanism has been a little bizarre for him. And so if that part's coming around, excuse me, you've got a guy who can be one of the team leaders. If he isn't a league leader, and he's certainly a team leader, and that's what they need right now.
Let's turn our sights back over to Bucks basketball. Bucks in Beantown. We know it's Game 5. The winner of this game, more than 70% of the time, ends up winning the series. I say this game's a must-win because the Bucks have really, in the last 3 contests, even though they won one of them, have not played great basketball. Their shots haven't been consistently falling, and it seems like they're really missing Chris Middleton. Is this a must-win tonight, in your opinion?
Absolutely. And there are a couple of different, just the numbers of the series to be down 3-2 and have to win 2 straight is one thing. But what's happened in this series is the Celtics, they play with some emotion, and the Celtics seem to play better when they have something to capitalize on. They seem to play better when, after there was that contact between Marcus Smart and Giannis and the whole, like, I'm going to help you up or I'm not or whatever. Like, when that motivates the other team, that's a bit of a concern. So if the Bucks lose Game 5, the Celtics are faced with this. They're faced with, you could end a Bucks season in 6 and turn their catchphrase on them. To me, that's extra motivation. If the Celtics win Game 5, I think they are as motivated for Game 6 as they've been for anything in Milwaukee in this series. And we know how tough that has been against the Celtics in the fourth quarter. Game 3, Game 4 was a combined 77 fourth quarter points. That could happen again. So if you do that with a 3-2 lead, it's a little different on the mindset. But if you come back with a 3-2 deficit, that is really difficult, more so in this series than most.
A lot of people talking about the use of George Hill over Bobby Portis, and the minutes that George Hill got in this last contest, and Budenholzer talked about his defensive prowess and trusting him. And I still think that it's just kind of having another coach on the floor, and it goes back to the days when he had him when he was in San Antonio and such, and they've always had that really good relationship. Do you think they need to go back to Bobby Portis and play more of those, quote, Bobby Portis energy minutes?
I mean, that's if you're thinking of the thing, the ingredients, the thing that's missing from the soup, the thing that makes it taste just right from last season. I mean, PJ Tucker aside, because you don't have that as a choice, but Bobby Portis, crazy-eyed Bobby Portis, doing crazy-eyed things in those playoff games is one of the biggest energizers that the Bucks had. And I know Bud hasn't considered it a huge deal, the number of minutes in the rotation and that kind of thing, but Portis is a guy that will give you energy at a time when you've had just a knockdown drag-out series, one where every game has been physical. Sometimes you get through those games and those series with adrenaline, and I think Bobby Portis is the guy to deliver it. Hopefully the other parts come together for him, because if they do, if he turns into that Bobby Portis from last year, he's good enough to give him just enough push, I think, to get him over the top.
Give me your thoughts on Drew Holiday and what he's done so far. He just seems to be like struggling. His shot just isn't falling. And I understand you still have to go and you still have to keep shooting, but it seems like some of the shots they've taken, they've been rushed, they've been hurried, they've been ill-advised, and they're still not getting those hustle buckets. They're not getting those second chance opportunities. Give me your thoughts right now on Drew Holiday.
Yeah, 5 for 22 is, like, when you see it, it cannot make you feel good. There just is there's no world where that set of numbers from one of the key pieces of your team makes you feel good. Now you go back with the rest of the line score, he scored 16, and we know what Drew does defensively, that kind of thing. So he's a guy who will always be there, because he'll always give you something. But if he's giving you those other things, the defense, the other intangibles, but is going 5 for 22, it is difficult. And it's one of those things that, Drew has been around long enough that, he knows he's going to shoot his way out of this. And I believe he will. I think, overall, I don't think he's been bad for them in the series, but from a point scored standpoint, especially with Middleton gone and you need that other option, that's where he's going to have to improve. And that really has to start tonight, honestly, because Game 5, you're going to need, something a little, I call it like the 60-40 rule. If you could match up with someone at 50-50, but then you're in their house and it's Game 5, you need 60-40 to win this one. And that they'll need Drew to score a lot of points for them to have that 60-40.
I think the Bucks, and again, I have picked the Celtics to win. I think the Bucks come out on fire, but I think it's going to be real indicative the first quarter and the third quarter and the first few minutes of the fourth quarter in this game, since the Bucks have gotten off the leads, only to see those leads evaporate. And then what I'm looking for is this time, if you get a lead and a significant lead in the third quarter, I think the Bucks have got to come out and be able to protect that lead. That's the biggest thing for me. If they watch it get frittered away, I think then what we're going to do is see a repeat of what we just witnessed. So to me, it's the first, it's the third, and it's the first few minutes of the fourth quarter that are going to become so important tonight. Do you agree?
I agree with it. And really, honestly, if you can just string two together, like if it's first and second or it's third and fourth, you could make one of those more important than the other if you can string two together. The last time in this series that the Bucks outscored the Celtics in back-to-back quarters were the first two quarters of Game 1. It has not happened since, which means every time the Bucks outscored the Celtics in a quarter since then, they get outscored the following quarter. So it's the string, and you're hitting on that when you're talking about the third and then keeping the momentum in the fourth so that doesn't slip away like it did in Games 3 and 4. That consistency over a couple of quarters is an enormous difference maker. I don't think if this streak continues, if they can't outscore them in consecutive quarters for the rest of the series, I don't know if they can win the series.
Do you think that Budenholzer has the nod, so to speak, when it comes to the head coaching adjustments, or do you think that maybe because of times when he just refuses to adjust and that is a detriment to him? I mean, what I'm asking basically is, do you give the coaching nod to Budenholzer?
Yeah, he's a system guy, and it's interesting because when there's issues defending the three, or when the Bucks go through different bad stretches in different parts of their game, it becomes sort of a likely target to say something about Bud, about the style, about the lack of adjustments. And I'd say compared to others, there probably are fewer adjustments, but he's got a group of guys that he knows can succeed in the system that he has, and he doesn't want to deviate from that. And there's some respect for that too. It doesn't make you the most popular guy game to game, but the long-term success is still there. So I give a coaching nod to Bud. He's done enough and won enough series now with the Bucks where I really don't put a lot of blame his way when there's a bad stretch.
Tonight, who's the MVP and why?
I mean, this is going to sound super simplistic, but it's Giannis, because Giannis still has this extra gear, this extra way when it's absolutely necessary to go and do superhuman things, to score 50 in a game that wins you a championship. Like that's, and again, that's not, there's not a lot of strategy in that, but the point is the Bucks know if they're going to win the series, they got to put this thing on Giannis's shoulders and just go, like, just say, all right, you sleep on the plane, we'll ice you down, do whatever we got to do, but just take that pounding, play as many minutes as you can. And if you could drop another one of those 42 and 15s or something like that, that could be a difference maker. Giannis is still, a generational talent. I hate to say that word. We're finished with the NFL draft, but I'm still using draft terminology. He is a generational talent.
Great stuff as always. Go back to working out. Tell Drew we'll be touching base with him, okay?
He walked by me. He said, give him a message, and then he glared at me because I left a couple of free weights out in the middle of the floor.
I can understand that. I can understand that. He's one of those weight etiquette dudes, no doubt. Good stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bill.
There you go. That's our buddy Kevin Holden, CBS 58, joining us, giving us the lowdown and his thoughts on both Brewers and Bucks. Big game coming up tonight, Game 5 in Boston. Going to be happening later on this evening. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Wabam. Go to WABAM. Go to Wabam. Go to Wabam.com. Get Wabam.com. Great cleaning supplies. But I'm telling you, if you own a car, you own a boat, you own a motorcycle, and you want to polish, you want to clean it up, and you make it shine bright and nice, and then you want to be able to really easily get the bug blech off of it, it's a great product. You just have to discover it. Take a chance on it. Go to getwabam.com. You can also find it out there at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson in Oconomowoc. Just walk in. It's right by the parts counter. But go to getwabam.com. Getwabam, W-A-B-A-M. Go to getwabam.com. That is getwabam.com, and see for yourself. Stay tuned. We still got a couple more segments of the program coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. Hey, coming up next week, next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, as a matter of fact, we're going to be live. We're going to be at the Social House on Lisbon Road in Menominee Falls. It's going to be their grand reopening, but their entire weekend, 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we are going to be the recipient. We, being the Fisher House, Wisconsin, are going to be the recipient of their monetary donations, so to speak. They're going to take a portion of their proceeds for the weekend and they're going to donate it to Fisher House, Wisconsin. In addition to that, they are also going to have a big tap takeover. And the tap takeover for all the beers that are bought, they're going to donate some money out of the beers that are bought for the weekend. And in addition to that, they're going to pass the big donation pot, and extra money will be thrown into that. And it's going to be for Fisher House, Wisconsin. So please, if you're going to go out and support anybody, maybe see the grand reopening of a Social House on Lisbon Road in Menominee Falls. Our broadcast will kick things off live there a week from tomorrow morning. Live there on the 19th, a week from tomorrow morning. Going to be live at Social House on Lisbon Road in Menominee Falls, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to be there, but all weekend long, all the proceeds go to Fisher House, Wisconsin. And we want to get you registered for the motorcycle ride that is upcoming on Sunday, September 4th. Sunday, September 4th. Please go get pre-registered. Go to the Facebook page, which is simply facebook.com/big unit poker run. Facebook.com/big unit poker run. And right there on the side is on the side of the page is the link to get pre-registered. The link to get pre-registered. It's the 15th annual Big Unit Poker Run benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin. It's our anniversary year, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. Our second stop is going to be Alpine Valley Resort, and we got a lot more details to come about that. It's different. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please come out and join us. Again, go to facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Run, and right there on the side of the page, you can get registered, and you can do it now. And it's cheaper to get registered now than it is the actual day of. The day of, it's $25 a person. If you register now and you're going to have somebody on the back of your bike, $25 a bike, and then the additional person on the back is $15. So you get a $10 discount there just by pre-registering. And only those who pre-register are eligible to win one of 4 prize packages. One of them being a Bucks and Admirals prize package, ticket package, another one being a Brewers ticket package, another one being a Badgers and a tailgate party ticket package, and another one being a racing ticket package, which is for IndyCar and NASCAR. So please, please, please go get registered. You have some incentive there to do it. We want to reward you for doing it. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. We'd be glad to have you. Got a couple more things here. This one email just came in as we were going to break. This one is from Jimmy. Jimmy says, hey, Bill, what about Marcus Smart? This is a guy that's been banged up, but yet he continually comes back and plays hard. Why can't Chris Middleton be doing this? Jimmy, I get where you're coming from. Others have said, hey, he's been down a while. They were going to reevaluate him in a couple of weeks. I understand it. This was, and I think, Ben, you got it. This is what was said about Chris Middleton and his preparation to possibly come back, but more so just what he's doing right now.
Has been out since April 20th when he played in Game 2 against the Chicago Bulls. Remember, the injury is a MCL sprain on his left knee. I talked to head coach Mike Budenholzer before the game and asked just for an update. He said that there's very little to update or change in terms of his progress, but that he is doing a little bit more each day. He's been doing on-the-court things for the last several days now, including shooting and dribbling. I asked him what more specifically has he done as he's progressed, and he said after thinking for a few moments, very light contact. So, guys, he's headed in the right direction.
There you go. Headed in the right direction. Now, remember, April 20th, remember when they had the injury initially, it said 3 to 6 weeks, right? Today is 3 weeks. It's on the very, very short end. Today is 3 weeks. I don't think he comes back in the series, regardless of, say, a Game 7. I don't think it happens, which next week at this time would be 4 weeks. I still don't think it happens if he's going through just very little contact right now. My guess is he could come back for the Eastern Conference Finals, because 6 weeks would be June 1st. June 1st would be 6 weeks. So it seems like he's been out a long time, but in essence, in reality, he hasn't. He's on the very short end of a pretty severe, I'm not going to say severe because I don't know the severity, but what they said was a significant MCL sprain. So that's the short period of time. I got to think it's going to be at least 3 more weeks before we see him go to June 1st. Just my thoughts, but it's not as if he's out there running around, jumping around. He's backing down guys and all kinds of stuff. So I don't think Chris Middleton's walking through that door anytime soon. Just my thought. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. By the way, the Reds played at a run last inning. The Reds up 8-4 over the Brewers right now. 8-4 over the Brewers right now, with Omar Narvaez at the plate, and this is in the top of the 6th inning. 8-4, and the Brewers trying to get the rubber game in this 3-game series down in Cincinnati before they then head down to Miami for a series as well. And coming off of that huge homestand where they banged 20 home runs, and they were able to just pitch dynamite and just put bad teams away. And now you go to Atlanta, you lose 2. You'd hate to lose 2 in Cincinnati. Go down to Miami, a Miami team that's not playing terrible baseball. They're not the old, craptastic Miami Marlins, but and then again, they're also not the 03 Yankees either. But you'd like to see the Brewers be able to come back and get this one. By all means, 877-867-1670. And yes, Adrian Hauser today, very, very short stint, 4 innings, 6 hits, 7 runs today, had 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, threw 90 pitches in 4 innings. Struggled mightily today. 51 for strikes, had all 3, by the way, 3 of those 7 runs were earned runs. Only 3. Brewers making a couple of errors today as well. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. So the Brewers right now trailing 8-4, top of the 6th. There you go with 1 out. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. Getting you ready for tonight's Game 5. They are in Beantown. Bucks, Celtics, and you got to have this one coming up tonight. Got to have this one. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show hanging out right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Final segment. Excited. Getting excited for tonight's contest. Got a couple of meetings today and then heading back to the house. And I think I am going to fire up the grill tonight. Outside, although it does say that it currently is 84 degrees out back. But I don't care. By tonight, by what, 6 o'clock? What time is tip time tonight, Ben?
6.
6?
So
by 6 o'clock tonight?
6:04. 6:04, 6:05.
Should be good.
Likely.
Should be down a little bit. That's okay. Sit outside, throw some shorts on, t-shirt, turn the TV on, be good to go.
Ugh.
Can't wait.
Nice.
Also tonight, the Warriors can close it out. We haven't really talked about that, but the Warriors up 3-1 on the Memphis Grizzlies. And the Warriors can close it out tonight. They are in Memphis this evening. That is an 8 o'clock or 8:30 tip time. Both games on TNT tonight. So you could be watching that game close things out. Meanwhile, you got the 76ers and the Heat going to be back at it. What is that? Is that tomorrow or is that Friday? That's tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. And the Suns and Mavericks, too, as a matter of fact. And Phoenix leads that series against the Mavericks 3-2. And the Suns, dominated last night. Wasn't even close. Mavericks just took a beat down, just like the 76ers did. So the 76ers trailing that series 3-2. So they can close that thing out. So we'll see maybe tomorrow. The only series that could be still going after tomorrow could be the Bucks and the Celtics. They could be the standalone series until everything settles down. Then you're going to have the Eastern and the Western Conference Finals. But the Warriors and Grizzlies, if the Warriors win tonight, they're done. They then wait. If the Mavericks lose tomorrow, then the Warriors would play the Suns. So they're going to kind of wait for that series to get underway. And if the Heat win tomorrow night, then they close out the 76ers and they sit back and wait for the winner of the Boston-Milwaukee series. So a lot of waiting going on if this thing continues on the way it is. But we'll see.
So Celtics minus 5.5 tonight. You like them to cover?
I do.
If you had to pick a side?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take the Bucks side of it. I think it's going to be close, but Boston's going to make the plays in the end.
Yeah, I still go back to first quarter. Do they get a lead and hang on to it? Third quarter, do they have a lead and hang on to it? And how they play in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. That's what I'm paying most of the time. I'm not even paying attention to, like Al Horford and such. I'm not doing that. You got to have Drew Holiday look as if he's starting to hit. I think Grayson Allen or Pat Connaughton have to really kind of pick up the bench. Pat Connaughton with 11 points in that last contest, he can only do so much, but you've got to have Grayson Allen give you more than 7 points. You have to. Got to get a couple of defensive stops. I get that. George Hill came in and played. He had 5 points. He was -6 on the plus-minus WAR chart. The only guy that really played well was Carter. I don't know why they don't. I know he does. Carter's not going to be any kind of a scorer. But sometimes you just need to stop the bleeding. You need some defense. Carter's not a bad way to go. I do that. But only getting 1 minute? I like to see him play more. And then obviously Bobby Portis, I want to see him get some more minutes as well. Bobby Portis only with 4 points. And Bobby Portis, he was in long. He had 7 shots. Don't get me wrong. He was 0 for 1 beyond the arc, and he wasn't really hitting shots either. But I'd like to see Bobby Portis get into a groove. Get him back, because then when you come home and he's feeling that groove, he's feeling that confidence. Boy, I tell you what, Bobby Portis is a loved figure in Milwaukee. He hits a couple of big shots. He can bring the house down. I mean, Giannis always does with a big dunk or steal or something like that. Everybody loves to get, all pumped up over that. But Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, those are the guys that can bring it home. And I'd love to see Bobby Portis get back into a groove coming up tonight as well. So tip time just after 6 tonight. Brewers not looking too good. Not looking too good. 8-4 right now, bottom of the 6th. And a tough day today via the Hill for the Brewers. Not the best way to start the day. Today, you ended up having Adrian Hauser go 4 innings, 6 hits, 7 runs, only 3 of them earned as the Brewers committed a couple of costly errors today. Milner came in. He pitched an inning, gave up a run, 1 hit, had an error or only 1 earned run to his name. And Suter is on the hill right now with a third of an inning under his belt, and he's given up a hit. But the Brewers, while they plated 4 runs, and don't forget, Christian Yelich, by the way, on the day, Christian Yelich is 3 for 3 with a bomb. With a 3-run dinger, scored 1, obviously, but he's 3 for 3 on the day, has the batting average up to 255 now. 255. Willie Adames, who had been just smoking the ball, has watched his average fall consistently. He is now 0 for 3 on the day with a strikeout. So there you have it.
I still have that Yelich over under written down. 15 homers.
15 homers, which he's approaching.
It's 5.
Yeah, he's got 5 on a season. He's a third of the way there, and we're not even a third of the way through the season. So he might break that. And let's hope that he does. Let's hope that he does. You know what? It's funny because once we throw the bet down, usually that's when things start to matriculate. Maybe we should just take a massive bet and say, yeah, the Bucks aren't even going to win the series. And then all of a sudden the Bucks just reel off 2 straight wins. They reel off a couple more wins and move on to an NBA Finals and win it in back-to-back seasons, which then it would just prove us wrong, and I'd take that in a heartbeat.
All right, yeah, but
that in a heartbeat.
If I win, I get one of those window installed air conditioning units.
Oh,
How about
okay.
that?
Yeah, I can probably find one of those for you. I'll buy it off a marketplace. See if it still works. Those things aren't even that much, though, are they? What is a window unit? $300?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a disaster.
If you're just tuning us in, poor Ben, his apartment complex has decided not to turn the air conditioning on. Not until another, week and a half?
May 19th. Just 8 days. But as was said in the so great, gracious email we got, it's supposed to be colder next week. So we'll be able to sleep.
Yay. Like if you go with a mid-size window from like Walmart, it's $154. You can buy an LG Electronics 5,000 BTU, $169. The little portable one you just stick in your room, it's like $80. And then there's the Frigidaire 162, which Frigidaire is a good brand. It doesn't have all the electronics to it, and they're a better made brand. You can have that delivered in 2 days. They can drop it off $162. So, you know what?
Yeah, I'm out of there.
Well, you're moving anyway, right?
I'm out of there in 3 weeks anyway, so
okay.
I'm counting the days.
Where are you moving to? Are you moving into a house? Or are you moving into?
No.
Okay.
Other side of town, though.
A different apartment. Okay.
A place with air conditioning.
All right.
You know.
Okay. Well, good for there. Well, then you know what? If you're moving, then I won't buy one. Otherwise, if you need it, that'll be your Christmas bonus. We'll fire up an air conditioning unit for you. We'll have it shipped out to your address. I'll do that.
All right.
So there you go. So that's going to do it for today. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of reaction to Game 5, and we'll take your pulse tomorrow as the Bucks and the Celtics series continues tonight. We'll take your pulse tomorrow. We'll see what the Brewers can do. Can they come back and get this win? You lose 2 out after having such a successful homestand. You lose 2 out of 3 to Atlanta, and if by chance it remains the same, you end up losing 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati. Now you're heading down to Miami. What do you make of this team? You know, they're still on top, still in the division. Is it just baseball? Is that all you're saying? Yeah, it's baseball. No big deal. No big deal. Plus tomorrow, don't forget, it's the anticipation as we start to talk about the possibilities and where they could play and when they're going to play and all that kind of stuff. How you want to see the schedule shake out, because we will be on the cusp of hearing the NFL's announcement as to the release party for all the schedules in the NFL as well. Can't wait for tomorrow. Can't wait for Friday. But it should be a good one. Hey, go to the Facebook fan page, the website, all that kind of good stuff. Don't forget, if you know somebody who's a motorcycle rider, pre-registration is open. Please go ahead and get pre-registered for the motorcycle ride. If you don't ride, that's okay. Tell somebody who does. We ride for veterans. We ride for military members and their families coming up Sunday, September 4th. And we are really looking forward to it, our 15th anniversary. That'll do it. Go Bucks. Time for us to go. Have a go.